We just watched another highly anticipated Dolphins Bills game on Thursday night football. Last year it was a 31-10 blowout. I thought this year we'd see the same thing, but no, it was a very strange game. We'll talk about that a bit, and we'll get into the Week 3 NFL picks. This is our video for that subject, and we'll get into much more, of course. Before we get into everything, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit walterfootball.com for tons of content, and visit the link in the description for the merch store. Of course, I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday. This is how we do with two kids under 4. But look, it's my third fanciest shirt, I think. So I have to wear it 2 days in a row. It's kind of contractually obligated. So you can get that as well as everything else at the merch store. We actually have a new T-shirt. It is the things haven't been the same around these parts since the Battle of the Horses. I worked with ChatGPT for like 2 hours to make this. Just wouldn't follow my instructions, and then eventually it did. So you can get that as everything else here at the merch store. We have mugs, we have aprons, we have a new hat too. So check that out. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks of the College Years, where I made fun of people I saw at Penn State for 6 years. Also, please consider super chats and super stickers. That's the best way to support the show. And really it is. I mean, Slew, John Sanders, Armac, you guys have been incredible. Armac gave us a $100 super chat a few weeks ago. That was so awesome. Thank you so much, Armac, and thank you so much, Slew and John Sanders. And Dizam helped us out too a couple weeks ago as well. So and everyone else who's helped us out, I can't say thank you enough. Really appreciate it because you guys keep the show going. All right, we are joined by Evan Daniel for another Thursday night show, which I look forward to all the time. Evan, how's it going, and how's your week 2?
Well, another terrible game on a Thursday night, as you mentioned. So, maybe we should start recording at halftime of these games.
I know.
These coaches don't prepare. The product is not the same. And no matter what the game is, I feel like every single Thursday night I say to myself, I wish these games would just be postponed another night or two. But going back to last week, last week was fun. We talked about how we went 3-2 in the circuit contest week 1, and we were satisfied with that 3-2. Get out of week 1 with plus territory. Last week we talked about, I think it was 9 games that I highlighted, and I feel like I should have gone 7-2. We should have gone 4-1 or 5-0 in our card, and we ended up going 3-2 again. It felt like a very disappointing 3-2 with games like Jacksonville, where we had Jacksonville leading the entire way with 3.5 points, and of course lost by the hook. And then Houston didn't play well, but we had that game in the bag, and of course 4th and 10 late in the game. Tampa, who was plus 800 on the money line. I think I texted you at one point and said, we should just grab this right now, plus 800 before that 4th down. Of course, they convert, come back and win the game, and our 5-0 card turns into 3-2, just like that. So this is a very tough week, I think. I don't really have a lot of games that I've highlighted that jump out. As we go through them, I can really, really make a case for both sides on most of the games, including tonight. I was on Buffalo like you were. I had the score 34-19, which is not far off from the 31-21. But I thought tonight's game really kind of shows how the coaching really, really makes a difference. Buffalo dominated the game, yards per play. But Miami, they couldn't get Miami off the field. Miami went 10 for 15 on 3rd down. And what I was looking at throughout the game is just how slow Buffalo was playing. Granted, they were running the ball 7 yards a pop, but they only had 3 possessions in the first half. It's like when you're the lesser team, you want the game to be slowed down and shortened. Buffalo was just playing right into that. This game was just back and forth. They never really had their foot on the gas. And I just didn't understand why. It felt like they were up by 2 scores, but meanwhile, the game is tied, and Miami should have the ball in the 4th quarter with a tie game. So not impressed with Thursdays. Last week was interesting and exciting until our 5-0 turned to 3-2. Oh, and one more thing. FanDuel took away one of my favorite bets, the weekly special of a quarterback to throw for 450 yards. I think somebody mentioned, why do I hate Russell Wilson? I owe Russell Wilson a fruit basket now or some sort of gift because Russell Wilson threw for exactly 450 yards. This bet paid out 16 or 17-1 throughout last year. We hit it 4 times. It paid out 17-1 in week 1 where we missed. Last week, they must have known something. They dropped the bet to 11-1. Of course, we bet it again and hit it in overtime. And now it's gone. I don't know where that bet went. Maybe all these subscribers that you have here took my advice, played the plus 1,100 on any quarterback to throw for 450, and we all killed FanDuel that they no longer offer that play. So looking forward to finding something new.
That's unfortunate. You say we bet it. I forgot. I forgot last week, of course. So like the one week I forget is the one it wins. So I didn't get that one, and it just kind of like it's like how does Russell Wilson be the quarterback who gets the 450? Figure it would be like one of the quarterbacks who actually have talent right now,
Right.
but it's Russell Wilson getting there in overtime, like 450 on the dot, like you said, 11-1. Congrats on that one. And I forgot again. I forgot to even look this week, but you're saying that it's gone. So yeah, I guess people have caught on to it.
I was
There's
frantically searching for
yeah.
weekly specials. I couldn't find it here in New York. I called a friend of mine who's in Jersey to see if he had it. Not there in Jersey. Maybe you have it in Pennsylvania. But they took all those fun things away. I guess people were listening and took advantage of, because I said that line to get 450 yards out of 32 teams, to me, it doesn't feel like an 11-1 bet.
Right.
So, I mean, that hits once every couple of weeks, or at least gets very close. So now it's gone. If it comes back, I'll let you know. But for
Yeah.
now, we can't. I appreciate Russell Wilson going out with a bang.
That was incredible. Yeah, you like you said, it happened 4 times last year, and it happened once so far this year. So out of 19 weeks, they hit 5 times. So it should be like plus 400, not
Yeah,
not
four or
not
five.
11, yeah,
Yeah,
not 11-1 or even 16-1. Which is insane. Yeah, I again, I didn't look. I have to like. I've given like I've 2 kids under 4, and I'm always tired. I sleep like 4 hours a night. I need to like write stuff down so I don't forget it. And I started doing that, but I didn't do that with this, and I have to do that. I'm going to do that every week and just look and see if that's available. So, but you were talking about how we should have gone 5-0, and you perfectly said that like in week 1 coming away with a 3-2 when we don't really know how these players are going to play. Some will get better, some will get worse. I'm fine with a 3-2 in week 1, but like. Man, that was frustrating. Like Jacksonville should have covered. Houston could have covered. We could have. We should have been at least 4-1 with the possibility to go 5-0 on Monday night. Like we should be 7-2, 7-3, or 8-2 in the Circa Millions right now. But you know what? 6-4 is not the end of the world. We can get hot here and go on a run and maybe win this whole thing. So I'm looking forward to it. All my entries are 6-4 better, I think. Tom and I actually have a 7-3. We got lucky with Denver. I'm sorry, Indianapolis at the end in the big battle of the horses, of course. All right, so let's get to these games. You mentioned you weren't a big fan of the week 3 slate. I think I really like 5 games on the dot. So I'd like to differentiate my cards because I have something in the Circa, I have something in the Super Contest, and I like to have like at least one different pick. But this might be a week where I just have the same 5 because I don't really like a 6th game here. So, all right, well let's begin with the top of the card. We have Indianapolis to Tennessee. This line was 3.5. It's up to 4 or 4.5 in some places. In the actually, I didn't write down the Circle line, so I'll do that when you analyze this
same
game.
for.
Okay, yeah, I wrote down the Super Contest lines, but today I was out of the house. I didn't get a chance to look at Andy's email, but anyway, I like Indianapolis here. Tennessee, one of the worst teams in the NFL, so I'm always eager to fade that. The Colts have played a lot better than I expected. It doesn't feel like the odds makers have adjusted enough for this. They dominated Miami, which we saw Miami play closely to Buffalo, and that's not like indicative of how Miami's going to play tonight. But Indianapolis did completely dominate that team, and then they beat Denver. I think they're pretty impressive. Daniel Jones is playing well. The defense is playing a lot better than I thought. The offensive line's playing better than I thought. And Tennessee doesn't have much going for it. Cam Ward, as you pointed out, you said he would lead the league in sacks, and so far that prediction is looking great. He's been sacked 11 times. He's on pace to be sacked 93 times, which would break David Carr's record of 76, like by a mile. And so just a bad team like that going against a good team here. I think the Colts should be able to cover this, and I think that the line moving up from 3.5 to like 4.5 is like a sign of strength. So, what are your thoughts on this game? Do you like the Colts?
I do, but you said a very key word, and that's adjusted. And you look through after weeks 1 and 2 to see where we can make adjustments. We don't want to overreact to what we've seen in weeks 1 and 2. Think back to last year where the Saints looked like
Hmm.
a phenomenal offensive team through the first 2 weeks, and then everything just changes. So there's a lot of aberrations in weeks 1 and 2, but I think the Colts are actually a good team. When I watched your battle of the horses over on Monday, I'm thinking to myself, well, this team is actually pretty good. Now, if Jones doesn't make mistakes, they have a lot of weapons on that team. The offensive line is playing well. They're playing very good football. Now, the coaching staff is still something that I'd be concerned about. But if Jones is not turning the ball over, and he did throw the ball, put the ball in harm's way a couple times, got away with some potential picks, some mistakes, but they're actually playing very well. I think we learned tonight they dominated Miami's defense, and maybe their offense was better than Buffalo's. But I actually upgraded the Colts significantly. Well, from week 1 to week 2, I had them as a upgrade of 1 point, and from week 2 to now, I upgraded them 2.5 points, which is tremendous. And I just basically decided during the week, as I'm rewatching their game against Denver, that this is an above average team. So I'm going to go forwards on the premise that they're a slightly above average team. We talked about Tennessee being in the bottom 5, which I still think is true. And I predicted, and you mentioned the fact that Cam Ward holds the ball too long and takes really bad sacks, which moves them, sets them behind the chains a lot. So all those factors, I think the Colts are a substantially better team than Tennessee and are deserving of being an above field goal favorite. The problem that I have in this game is the spot. When you're 2-0 and you're coming off these big wins, and Tennessee's 0-2, and now they're going on the road in a divisional game, it's a really, really bad spot. And even with my upgrade in power rankings, 4 is a big number. I think 3.5, 4 is warranted. I don't think there's any real value. That said, I do like the Colts, and given the card this week, I think is very difficult. I am on the Colts as a potential pick. I have them winning this game by about a touchdown. But again, I am very concerned. I mentioned before, I can make a case for both sides. My fear in this game is simply the spot. Going on the road, a divisional game, maybe I'm a little overreacting on my adjustment on the Colts, but I think for now, given what we've seen, they're the better team. They should continue to play well. They should win this game. But I am concerned about the spot here, and they don't have to win the game by 7 to win the game. So if they're up by 3, if they're controlling the game, that's just fine. And if they're up by 10, the back door is open. So I don't love the -4. I do like it, and I do lean towards it, and I would be okay putting this as a contest pick.
Okay, yeah, I will mark that down as a maybe. I made the line 5.5. So I still think this is short. About the spot, I think you're right, but I don't think it's that bad, because I think it'd be worse if they were playing a non-divisional game, like against a team they didn't care about. But given that this is a divisional game, I think that they might be focused here. I think there's a decent chance they will be. Plus,
One thing I like about them is they're running the ball very well. Taylor last week against a very good Denver rush defense had 165 yards rushing. Mm-hmm. And India has yet to punt. They did have one turnover on downs on a weird play on a 4th down near midfield. Outside of that, they haven't punted. So they've been moving the chains. They've been scoring points. And like I said, they have a lot of weapons. That Warren is very, very solid. Jones is distributing the ball. He's moving the ball around. And Taylor's playing great. So until Taylor gets hurt, which is inevitable, I think this is a team that we continue to ride. And I don't know that the books adjusted their power rating enough. Because, like I said, I jumped 3.5 points in 2 weeks on this team. And usually Vegas does not adjust that much this early.
Yeah, that's true. Pollyanna says only a couple weeks ago, these guys were roasting me for doing over 7.5 Colts wins. Well,
yeah, I didn't bet under 7.5, but I certainly didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I mean, a great call, Pollyanna, if you did actually bet it. So it's looking pretty good right now. And Colts are winning the division, aren't they? Looks like it. I got a great number on Jacksonville. It's like plus 480 or something in the summer. That was boosted on one of the sports books. So yeah, it is. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll see. But
before you go on to the next game, while you're on the topic of the Colts, and speaking of win total overs, you can go and bet these things now. Now, obviously, 7.5 is expensive, but you can bet over 8.5. And that's what we did last year with Washington. We noticed right away, and Minnesota. And I had an under bet on Minnesota for the season, and I got off that as quickly as I could. Mm-hmm. Once week 2 and week 3, Minnesota last year beat the Niners and beat Houston. And I think it was Houston in week 3. And it's like, oh my God, this team's actually pretty good. Washington, by week 3 or week 4, we knew this team was very good. So you can go bet it now. I mean, it's over 8.5. Obviously, you're not getting the best of the number, but I like the Colts going forwards. I think this is definitely a potential 9, maybe 10 win team.
So let's look at the schedule. They play Tennessee. Let's count how many Group A and Group B teams they play. So after this, they have the Rams. So that's one. The Raiders and the Cardinals. The Chargers certainly are one. That's number two. They play Tennessee again, then Pittsburgh, then Atlanta. Atlanta's looked pretty decent, but not a Group A or Group B
The
team.
Atlanta game is somewhere international.
It's a game I will not be watching live. I decided to boycott these games. I can't do it. I can't wake up early that early. Kansas City, that is we think is a Group A, Group B team, but we'll see. Houston, their defense is awful. Jacksonville, Seattle, no. San Francisco. I've had trouble placing San Francisco, whether it's Group B or Group C. Where would you put them?
Well, they're not Group C.
Okay, so
they're healthy. They're still an above average team.
Okay, all right, that's where I placed them, but I wasn't sure. I don't know. Anyway, Jacksonville and then Houston, like very very manageable schedule. Only 3 teams that are Group A or Group B. One of them's Kansas City, and like who knows what's going on there. So I mean this over 8.5 looks pretty good to me. I actually might bet this one. I'm
not betting it right now because we'll have it this week. And if they don't win this week, then I wouldn't want that bet because I don't like them next week at the Rams.
Right. Yeah.
So if they do lose this week and they come back to earth a little bit, maybe before the Raider game where they have Raiders at home, Arizona at home, Chargers and Tennessee at home, a couple of very manageable games where they'll probably be favored in some of those. That would be the time to take their over is after the Rams game, presumably a loss. I wouldn't take it now. I would probably wait another couple of weeks.
I actually think I would take it before the Rams game because if they lose to the Rams, I don't think that's going to change because they're going to be underdogs, right?
Sure.
So, but like, what if they upset the Rams? Then like you're going to be in a great spot, and if you don't bet it, then you're going to have to bet the 9.5. I think if they beat the Rams.
A lot of respect though because they're only plus 4.5 at the Rams next week.
Yeah. I mean, look, if we'll get to the Rams-Eagles game later, but if the Rams upset the Eagles, that could be a letdown spot for the Rams. But we'll get to that one in a bit. The next game is Falcons at the Panthers. This line is Falcons minus 5.5. I think this is definitely a game I want on my contest card. I made this line 6. So not that that's like a lot of value, but Carolina is just a dreadful team. And Atlanta is, I think, undervalued right now because they really should be 2-0. They outgained Tampa by 100 yards. And if Kadara Hodge looks for the ball in the end zone, they win the game. Or if Younghoe Koo hits the field goal, they go to overtime. So like there are a lot of ways that Atlanta could have won that game. And then last week they went into Minnesota and they were very dominant. So I like how they've improved the pass rush. The pass rush has been really good. They're always good against the run, but their pass defense was woeful because they couldn't get to the quarterback, and that's changed. And I don't know if like the public has really caught on to that yet. So I think Atlanta's undervalued here in Carolina. So I had Arizona in the Super Contest. I was feeling pretty good. I was like, okay, we're going to go 4-1 here. And of course, I went 3-2 because Arizona surrendered a 27-3 lead. They didn't cover. And on that final drive where the Panthers covered, they converted a 4th and 16 to someone named Bryson Tremaine. That was one of the most tilting things ever. Even like given what we saw in the Jacksonville game and this on top of that Sunday, that was so brutal. So Carolina is garbage. They got blown out by Jacksonville. We saw Jacksonville nearly lose to Jake Browning. So I think Atlanta should be able to take care of business very easily here. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, complete agreement. Atlanta is the second team that I significantly upgraded. I had them originally as a slightly below average team, and now they're slightly above average. I told you back when we first looked at power ratings, I think it was back in May, I said I surprised myself because I didn't actually have New Orleans as the worst team. I still have Carolina there, and everyone thought I was crazy. Like, oh, Carolina's so much better. They're not like the number 30 team. They're probably like the number 22 or 24. No, they're right there with New Orleans as the worst team in the league. They're off of another bad loss. They were getting blown out again. Now, obviously, garbage time, they almost won the game, or they came back a little bit in garbage time, but they were still outgained 6.1 to 4.5 yards per play. Everything they do is in garbage time. Atlanta's off a very, very strong defensive performance. I would look to see what the injury status of James Pierce. I saw he missed some time this week. I would take a look at that injury report. Maybe it was just some minor issues, but obviously a rookie is not sitting out for veteran rest. So that's something that I would look towards. But I think more importantly in this game is the rushing from Atlanta. Bijan Robinson is going to go crazy in this game. Carolina made Travis Etienne look like Bijan. So what's Bijan going to look like, right? Barry Sanders crossed with Jim Brown. I mean, if Travis Etienne is putting up 100-plus yards, Bijan may go for 200 in this game. And last year, I think Bijan killed them also a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken. So I also worry about Carolina on the offensive line. They have a bunch of guys who are injured. Robert Hunt's now out. Starting center is on IR. They just signed some depth off of the Ravens practice squad. They're starting a guy named Cade Mays and Chandler Zavala. I've never heard of these names. So I know everyone talks about how Bryce Young has improved and his stats look better because they're looking at the garbage time numbers. But I think this is a game where they get blown out and they don't put up the stats in garbage time. Because I think Atlanta's offense will keep them off the field because of the rushing attack. And I think Atlanta's defense will get to Bryce Young. So I think this game is an absolute rout, even though it's on the road in Carolina. I don't worry about the spot. I think Atlanta being a young team, last year they played some close games. I think this game is like a 34-10 type of game.
Yeah, and they have a good kicker now too. So
yeah, they benched Cook. Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it sounds like this is a definite for us.
And I've actually been on Atlanta in both weeks. I had them 2 weeks ago where I had +2. They lost, obviously, missing the kick to go to overtime. And last week I had them +3.5 in Minnesota.
Yeah, I've been on them as well. So it looks like we're in lockstep here. I'm going to put them in the definite pile, whereas I have Indianapolis in the maybe pile right now. So we'll get to that at the end and figure out our card. D's, I'm asking, any idea what the analytics say about two divisional rivals facing each other with a home dog 0-2 and a road favorite 2-0? Well, I have the numbers for you. Oddly enough, this has not happened very often. This is only the 8th time this is going to happen since 1989. So this is going to be a small sample size. The road favorite in this spot is 5-2 against the spread, 7-0 straight up. So again, small sample size. I don't know if you can take anything away from that. I don't like trends, but at least we know that we don't have to worry about this being a bad number. So Chris says, can we pause for a moment to mention Mike McDaniel risking his quarterback getting brain scrambled one more time down 10 with 22 seconds left? This guy's coaching for his job. And I saw that after in the postgame show. I think I want to say it was like Richard Sherman and Ryan Fitzpatrick. They were talking. Maybe it was the other guy, but they were saying, "Oh, Mike McDaniel's job's not in jeopardy. He coached very well tonight."
Fitzpatrick said that. He said he doesn't think he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, I just rolled my eyes. I'm like, seriously, like, they've just not been watching the Dolphins. Okay, thanks.
Mike McDaniel this week was talking about how if he's worrying about his job security, he's not, doing his job. He's got to worry about the team. Anytime a coach starts talking about himself being on the hot seat, it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Pollyanna's asking, the sportsbooks are rigged, not putting out a line for Ty Johnson, setting Ray Davis at rushing 24.5 and not getting a single carry. I thought he was on the field once, though, wasn't he? He did not play at all, which is surprising to me. I don't understand why Ray Davis didn't play. Like, if the Bills are going to run a lot, why wouldn't Davis be on the field? And I thought that James Cook wouldn't get that many carries because he had 21 carries the game before, and they only had 3 days of rest. So I thought that Cook would maybe have like 13, 14 carries, and Davis would have like nine carries. But
you want to talk about sportsbooks being rigged? What was the advanced look-ahead line in this game?
Oh, I have it. Let me see.
You mentioned it last week because we talked about this. We both couldn't believe that it was like 8.5,
8.5.
Yeah. And then closes, of course, 11.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get stopped. They kick a field goal late with 25 seconds to go.
Yep.
Yeah, talk about fixed. There you go, NFL script. Good job.
Yeah, that was.
They know something.
Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, Tampa Bay makes their field goal coup, doesn't have a chance to tie. Can make your narrative. But Atlanta outgained them by 100 yards, and they averaged more yards per play. Like they were definitely the better team in that game. Atlanta outplayed Tampa. They did. Like they outplayed Tampa. Over on their weeks until McDaniel's fired. What do you think? Week week 9. I have to pull up their schedule. Like they have to get blown out one of these games.
Well, they play home against the Jets next week, Monday Night Football, and they're
Okay.
favored in the game. And they play at Carolina, so presumably they have two very winnable games. They play the Chargers at home, and then they go at Cleveland. So it depends on what their record is. I would say that he gets fired after the Thursday night game against Baltimore. That's a home game, and Baltimore
Mm-hmm.
will go in there and beat them by 30.
Yeah.
And I think before they play Buffalo, he's probably gone. Unless they let him stay the Buffalo game and then they go to Washington. They don't go to Washington. They go international.
That's the
Or
game. That's the that's when he's going to get fired.
so he's
Yep.
either getting fired after week 11 or week 9.
Yes. Yeah, because we see it all the time when teams play internationally and they get blown out. Like the coaches get fired all the time.
Yeah.
That's when he's going to get fired. I think they're going to get crushed by the Redskins. Every time I hear the Falcons, I think of Walter's story about the kid on the plane screeching as driving to the airport, laughing out loud in my car. Yeah, I'm posting that Jerks of the Week entry this week where there's like on my plane to Vegas, there's like a kid just screeching like a falcon the whole time. Like I don't mind babies crying because I had 2 recently. I mean, my kids are 3.5 and 2, so I experienced that. And like kid babies crying, I don't mind it, but like this kid was like actually screeching like a falcon. I was like, at first I was like, is there like a support animal falcon on board? Like, what is going on? And he just wouldn't stop the whole flight. So yeah, it just like just this kid just wouldn't stop. Like it just kept screeching like a falcon. I was like what is going on here? And then the lady next to me just had she kept pulling out snacks like the whole flight, like this 5-hour flight. She had like she brought out like cookies, Welch's fruit snacks. She had like Skittles, and she pulled out Doritos, and then she pulled out cheddar and sour cream onion chips. I've never seen someone bring that many snacks on a flight. I was just, I don't know. So it was an interesting flight that I had to Vegas, which actually it'll be up on Monday. So anyway, let's get to the next game. We have Raiders at the Redskins. This line's 3.5. It's only 3.5 because Jane Daniels probably going to miss this game. So Jane Daniels said like he's mentally preparing to play this game, but actually it's Marcus Mariota taking all the practice reps. So it's not going to be Daniels here. It would be shocking if Daniels were playing this game. So we have Mariota here. I like backing good teams with backup quarterbacks. Now we had a question on last night's show with Andy where are the Redskins a good team? I think they are. I think they have some good pieces. Their defense has been solid. They didn't like they were getting blown out by the Packers offensively. It was just their offense couldn't do anything against Green Bay's defense, and they limited the great Russell Wilson to 6 points in week 1. So and then you have Tunsil, you have McLaurin, Debo, like they have good pieces with the team. So I think this is a favorable spot for Washington because they're going to try very hard with their backup quarterback. And then the Raiders are in a tough spot. They played on Monday Night Football, and they have to travel across the country on short rest and prepare for a good team. But it's just seems like it would be very difficult for them to have a lot of success here. And they look pitiful against the Chargers. Geno Smith looked lost. The offensive line couldn't block. Amazingly, Ashton Genty is dead last in the NFL in yards before contact. And I say amazingly because his yards before contact average is -0.1. Like this guy's getting hit before he gets to the ball. So it's pretty insane. So I like the Raiders here. Redskins here. I'm not in love with the game with the hook. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I don't like the game. One thing I'll add to your spot conversation is that obviously the Raiders on a short week. The Redskins played Thursday, so they have extra rest. So you're talking about a team with extra time to prepare against a team with less time to prepare. Plus, Washington's coming off of a miserable, miserable performance. I mean, that was a lifeless game against Green Bay. They got killed in that game. So I would imagine they perform significantly better, a little bit more attention to detail. But I don't know how one handicaps this game. I certainly don't want to lay points or lay more than a field goal with Mariota. I agree with them winning the game, but I wouldn't lay the points. I don't like what I saw out of Geno Smith last week. Obviously, the 3 picks were pretty bad, but he was awful. So, and he had a really, really rough game. I don't think the Raiders are as bad as they've looked. I certainly don't think Washington's as bad as they played that Thursday night game. But for me, this is a complete pass.
Yeah, but Mina Kimes said that Geno Smith is a top 10 quarterback. So
Mina Kimes. Yeah. I'll
You know,
pass on Nina Kimes.
yeah, be careful. She might send an angry tweet out, and actually the I don't know if you saw the tweet where it's trolling her, where she said like last time on Around the Horn when it was getting canceled, congrats on getting the show canceled, and she like quote tweeted me, and that tweet got like 1.1 million views, and it's so many people were angry at me, and like I thought the responses are hilarious.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't listen to Mina Kimes. I don't care what she says or what her thoughts are. It's to me, she's what is she on ESPN because she's a. I won't say anything. We'll leave it alone. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Can I say it? I
You
don't
can
know.
say whatever you like.
Yeah, yeah, that's a DEI hire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Geno Smith's a top 10 quarterback. Cutting edge analysis there. Great under bet with Mariota and Geno starting. Yeah, it seems that way, right? I mean, Mariota, they feel like Washington's gonna be conservative with him, and with Geno, he's not getting the blocking. Like to be fair to Geno, like he was bad in the game, but he didn't get the blocking either. So it was
Yeah, I like the under 44 and a half. I think that's not a bad play. I mean, I don't want to bet unders right now. I thought week one was a bit of an aberration, but now you see with the kickoff changing, almost everybody's returning kicks to like the 40. So your average starting field position is close to midfield, and teams are kicking long field goals, and teams much more readily than not are going for fourth downs. We'll get to the teams that don't know that you're allowed to go for fourth down soon. But if your teams are going for fourth downs and attempting these long field goals, make or miss, you end up with a situation where teams are just not punting anymore from midfield. I don't really want to be on unders. Also, Geno throws picks. Mariota can turn the ball over. So I wouldn't be in love with the under. I would look more towards in-game unders based on maybe the situation, or maybe late in the first half or middle of the second quarter going under for the half, where teams are going to be maybe a little bit more conservative towards halftime. But I don't really want to get involved with unders at this point in the season. But I definitely wouldn't look to play over with these two quarterbacks.
Yeah, me neither. It's these kickoff rules are ridiculous. Like, so you get one first down, you're already in field goal range.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
It's all, and like they keep moving it forward. And like by 2030, they're gonna have the ball at the opposing 10-yard line.
Yeah, I would rather go back to ball to 20, 25. 25, I think was perfect. Touchback, ball 25. That's it. And I don't care for the situation, how they line up, and they talk about injuries. They're returning 3 out of every 4 kicks. If they want to prevent injuries, and that's not the way to do it. They want more scoring. They want more excitement. They don't care about injuries. They care about injuries. They want to have games on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's for sure. Is Mariota confirmed starting? Not confirmed.
No,
like there's like a 1% chance that Daniel starts, but it's going to be this line says it's going to be Mariota, so we'll see. I'm sure we'll get the confirmation tomorrow. All right, so next game is Packers at the Browns. This line is Packers minus 7.5 or 8. Actually, there's an 8.5 at DraftKings, so you have your options there. So my heart says I want to take the Browns because they've outgained their opponents by 300 yards. All the metrics say the Browns should be like 2-0 right now, or they're probably definitely 1-1. Like their defense is really good. Their offensive line outside of the tackle situation, because Conklin's hurt, has been good. They have some like physically talented playmakers, like mentally maybe not, but physically talented they do. And Quishon Judkins gives them a potent running back threat. But I just can't get there. I just can't. This is a team that just commits so many turnovers and make a lot of mistakes. Jerry Jeudy, like we talked about him, like, yeah, he's physically talented, but this guy just makes so many dumb mistakes all the time. And Flacco can be a turnover machine. He's pretty aggressive, but he can be a turnover machine. And the tackle situation, we have to see what happens with Conklin. I don't know if he's healthy yet, but we'll see about that. And the Packers, they could be the best team in the NFL. Their defense is amazing. Their offense, they have some injuries with Jayden Reed and whatnot. Tucker Kraft got hurt in practice today, but he seems like he's fine. But I do like the offensive line. I like the running game, but they are playing against a great defense. So you figure their offense is going to be a little bit limited at least. But still, I think the defense is going to carry the day here for the Packers. And given their edge rush against the Cleveland tackle situation, where they could be missing both tackles, actually probably look at the injury report with the Browns. I didn't look at it today, but Jack Conklin did miss last week's game, so I I don't like, even if he plays, I don't even know if he's gonna be healthy. He's been limited both times, so it's really just don't know yet. So I think I'm gonna be on the Packers here, but not as a bet, just like office pool play or whatever. What are your thoughts on this game?
I'm kind of leaning towards the Browns because I thought I made the line 7. 7.5 feels like I'm getting another extra half a point there. I get it. Green Bay, number 1 yards per play defense, 3.7. That's unbelievable. Anything under like 5.5 is really great. Number 2 in rushing, giving up less than 3 yards per carry. I don't see how Cleveland moves the ball. The problem that I have with Cleveland is they kind of played, call it decently last week, and they still lost 41-24, 41-17, whatever that final number was. They were getting blown out, and they really did a good job defensively against Baltimore. So I think their defense could be similar here. They're playing at home. I think their defense could play well. I think the Packers are overrated. Now, I have them top 4, maybe top 3 in the league, and if they're the best team right now because of the Parsons trade and that defense, maybe. But when I say overrated, I think people are putting them in that Baltimore-Buffalo category, and I don't think they are yet. So I really am not a fan of this offense. I know they played very well last week against Washington. I'm going to try to throw that out a little bit given the Thursday night situation. So I don't really believe that this is an offense that's going to put up 27, 30, 34 points against Cleveland's defense unless Flacco hands them the ball. So I don't really know how Cleveland's supposed to move the ball. I can see this being a very similar game to week 1 against Cincinnati, where Cincinnati, they really held their offense in check, the second half especially. So I can see this game being a very, very frustrating game for Green Bay offensively. And if they can play that field, if Cleveland can play field position, I think this game can be very close. So I'm on the Cleveland side. Whether or not I made this as a contest pick, I highlighted it at first just because I thought there was some line value. And then I kind of thought to myself, yes, don't get too cute with teams like the Browns and Flacco, especially against a great defense. The other thing is Green Bay plays Dallas next week, Sunday Night Football. That's a circled game. Everybody knows that's coming. Parsons knows that's coming. They're thinking about that game since the trade was made. And that's something that I really think, hey, are they looking to blow this team out? They're going on the road. They're 2-0. It's just a really, really bad letdown spot. I could see Green Bay being in a dogfight in a 21-20, 20-17, 21-14 type of game. I can also see the game being 24-3. I don't think Green Bay's putting up 30 plus or 31 plus without turnovers. So I like Cleveland. I don't love it. And by default, it's become like a contest maybe pick for me. But it doesn't sound like you agree, so I don't want to spend too much time. And I'm certainly not trying to talk you into playing Cleveland against maybe a top 5 or top 3 team in the league. But I really think this game could be ugly and close. And what's the total in this game? Because that's something, again, not that I want to bet unders, but this game is 41.5. I wonder, where did this game open? This game opened at 42, so it's only dropped by half a point. I would look towards both team total unders. So I could see this game being a really, really low scoring game. And I would also check the weather in this game. So I think there might be some weather on the East Coast with some potential rain. So if you get rain and like a sloppy field that leads to a lot more running, I think also this game could be a slugfest.
Yeah, it says 82 chance of rain, 33%. We'll see. Obviously, things can change, and we're trying to look at the weather, and whereas like meteorologists can't even predict it. So I always find that funny. Besides this,
I don't have Green Bay 15th in my power. I have them 4th.
Well,
but I do think they're overrated, even at 4.
Well, if you were a diehard Viking fan, maybe you would have 15 here. 15 seems too low. Yes. Bills played like crap tonight, but Tua had his typical brain fart. yeah. The Bills played a bad game and they still won by 10. So, that's a good sign for them, I guess, in the future. But especially when they get Milano and Oliver back. But yeah, they didn't play a good game. Kraft injured. Yeah, he got hurt in practice today, and initial reports said it wasn't looking good, and then it was like,
really?
Okay,
I didn't see
he's
that.
fine. Oh yeah. I actually quote tweeted that one guy from Parks and Rec where he looks at the computer and then throws into the garbage when because I have Tucker Kraft in so many best ball teams, but it said that he's gonna be fine. So for like an hour there was just this big scare, but he's okay. I need like John Mateer at 9-1 to win the Heisman, 18-1 first pick. Those sound good, like good numbers. Charlie Campbell, who he moves lines, NFL draft lines. He has John Mateer #1 in his mock draft. Now it's still early, but if you're looking at a guy who's currently favored by Charlie to be the #1 pick, 18-1 sounds great. So I would be on board. Pollyanna, where do you see that number? Because I want to bet it. Unfortunately, I have to go to New Jersey to bet it. So that means going to the Trenton Thunder baseball stadium. But 18-1 could be worth it if that's the number there. So let me know where that is, please.
Can you explain to me why FanDuel has different lines in different states? It makes me nuts. I gotta call friends in New Jersey to place bets for me because we don't have them here in New York, and you're saying you don't have them in Philly either.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know if you remember Rainmakers, which was the basically the DFS with mixed with NFTs, where you would get NFTs of certain players and then you could enter them into lineups and you could win a lot of money. Like they would have 100,000 the first to 50,000 the first, depending on where. And like I had the ultimate heartbreaker. I was real quick. I was for like the entire 4:00 slate, and they didn't include Sunday Night Football in this. It would be I was in first place. It's like currently winning $100,000 for 3 hours. It said this for 3 hours, just currently winning $100,000. And then Austin Eckler like rips off a big run. Like it's the only game left. There's Chargers Cardinals. Eckler rips off a big run, and it's like boom, just dropped because I didn't have Eckler. So I did not win $100,000, unfortunately. Yeah, so anyway, Charlie LMAO, I didn't know about that. Not after what happened this past draft. Dude, we won 19 units on this draft, even though we had that trade that screwed everything up. So we did quite well. It wasn't an amazing draft. Like 2 years ago, it was amazing what Charlie called Gibbs to Detroit and Bijan to Atlanta, and then Hendon Hooker to Detroit on day 2. So yeah, like the trade screwed things up because if Genty wasn't there, the Raiders were going to take Membu, which was our big pick. But we still won 19 units. So I'll take that.
You hit the Shador stuff pretty big.
Oh yeah, that was obvious. I told the story before a few times, but I showed my mock draft to an NFL scout on an NFC team, and keep in mind his team didn't need a quarterback, so there was no reason for him to lie to me. And like the one he replied to me with one sentence, and when I showed him my mock draft, he said, "Get Shador out of the first round," and I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, we have him in the 3rd round. I'm like, oh wow, not even second. So yeah, that was pretty obvious to us. So. Got 18-1 to Mateer. Best numbers now 12-1 to Bet365, 11-1 to FanDuel. Okay, 11-1. I don't have a Bet365 account, but 11-1 still seems pretty good to drive out to Jersey. So I think I might take. You know what I'm gonna do, Pollyanna? I'm gonna ask Charlie tomorrow, and then we'll do the show with Tom tomorrow. So if you're on, I'll tell you the answer what Charlie says. But if you're not on, just whenever you're on next time, I'll let you know. So okay. Next game is Bengals at Vikings. This line is Vikings -3. This also hits that angle I like where you have a good team with a backup quarterback. Now both teams have backup quarterbacks, but Cincinnati's not a good team. They have Chase, they have Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Trey Henderson. That's it. They have nothing else going for them. And what like Jake Browning is a decent backup. His wins in 2023 came with a defense that still had DJ Reader, still had Sam Hubbard, still had Chidobe Awuzie, still had like a functional defense. Like this defense can't stop anything. This offensive line can't block anything. And Minnesota is, looking to bounce back off that national TV loss. And I think Carson Wentz could be an upgrade. I think you might agree with that. But like Wentz, he hasn't played well, since 2019, but he's had good coaching since then. He's shown an ability to scramble, and JJ McCarthy has been awful. So I think he could be an upgrade here. And Kevin O'Connell has gotten a lot of pedestrian quarterbacks to play well, like Nick Mullins and Joshua Dobbs. So I think this line's way too short. I love Minnesota here. What do you think?
I don't love anybody here. I'm not quite sure how you can love anybody either. Yes, Wentz could be an upgrade, but he might not be an upgrade, right? I do give you credit for coming off the highs of Minnesota. I downgraded Minnesota since the beginning of the season by 2 points, but I didn't have them in the top 5 or 6 to begin with. I have them now at 15, which might still be a little too high. I also deduct some points for the offensive line. Darisaw, I saw practice. It's likely that he comes back. Obviously, Kelly is now on IR. Guys on defense may come back. Van Ginkel may come back. They're not playing well. That team offensively just looks lost. Now, I do think Browning gets the ball out a little bit faster. Sure, he played with a better defense a few years ago, but he also put up 2,000 yards in 8 games. He had a 70% completion percentage, 12 touchdowns, 7 picks. He still has great receivers, obviously, if he can get the ball out. My fear for the Bengals is can Browning diagnose what Flores is doing? Because Flores likes to crowd the line of scrimmage and then drop these robbers into coverage. And for a quarterback who sees something and thinks, oh, I'm going to get a quick slant to Chase, or I'm going to get a quick slant to T. Higgins, and he sees that pre-snap, and in his mind, he's quick getting rid of the ball, he's going to throw a pick right over the middle. It's going to be 3rd and 4. He's going to think he has that play right over the middle, and Van Ginkel's going to jump it, right? So, and we've seen that a number of times against rookie quarterbacks. This is not a rookie quarterback, but he's a young and experienced quarterback who likes to get the ball out to maybe a first read ASAP. And certainly he has to get the ball out ASAP because Cincinnati doesn't believe in spending any money on their offensive line. So if and when Burrow comes back, he's going to continue to get killed. If Browning doesn't get the ball out quickly, he'll get killed. I don't really like a side though in this game. I mean, I would lean towards Minnesota, but I don't like it. I don't really see an angle laying points. And again, it's mostly because I don't know what to expect out of Carson Wentz. He could be an upgrade, could be a downgrade. If he's a downgrade, we haven't really seen him play well in a while. So, and McCarthy has been awful. So maybe there's no upgrade to make at all. Maybe it's just a flat spot and take your pick. If I'm getting 3 points, maybe I would just take the dog at +3. I really have no opinion on betting this game. I wouldn't even tease either side in this game. So definitely for me, not a contest play.
Okay, yeah, I like Minnesota a lot. I think they're going to be in my card. I kind of view this as sort of like San Francisco versus New Orleans last week, where the Niners are starting Mac Jones, and they were downgraded with the spread a lot. Like that was what 6.5 with Purdy, and it went down to 3 for some reason with Mac Jones. I'm like, really? Like that? I think this line's way off, and I'm looking at this line thinking like I think Cincinnati is one of the worst teams in the NFL, like without Burrow. I know Browning's played well, but they can't.
Well, I thought about that, and to your point, I gave you the Niners last week against the Saints, and it was the right pick. The Saints are the worst team in the league. If they're not the worst, they're in the bottom 3. Yeah. I don't think Cincinnati's that bad. Well, bad. I have Cincinnati right now at 22. I have them tied with Dallas as a team that can move the ball with a horrendous defense. I don't know that their offense is that much worse than Dallas's offense, and their defense can't be that much worse. Russell Wilson just put up 450 on Dallas's defense. So I have Cincinnati and Dallas right in that 22, 23 range. Not as bad as New Orleans. The Niners are a better overall team. So you throw Mac Jones into that mix. Is Mac Jones any better or worse than Carson Wentz? I don't know, right? Maybe. If you see Carson Wentz early in this game, that he's able to get the ball out, he's getting the ball to Jefferson, he can make plays. Also, not that it really matters that much, but Aaron Jones is now on IR. I don't like the fact that the center's on IR. I think that's a big problem. If Darisaw doesn't play or is not healthy, that's another big problem. I don't want Carson Wentz behind a shaky offensive line, even against Cincinnati, because maybe Troy Hendrickson can make a play in there. So I just don't like the game. For me, I don't really see an angle where, I think there's a lot of value. I made the line 1.5. So 3 to me feels a little too rich.
Oh, man. I made the line 4.5. So, yeah.
That's because you have Cincinnati significantly lower than I do. So I understand where our lines differ.
Yeah.
I just don't smell the angle laying now 3+ with Carson Wentz behind an offensive line that's injured and a team that just right now looks kind of lost.
Yeah, I think they look lost because of McCarthy, though. I like he's been horrible, and I can't see how Wentz is a downgrade. Like maybe passing wise, but like he can run a lot. Like in games he started, I know they're like week 17/18 garbage weeks, but he's run for like 50-60 yards in those games. Like he'll be able to scramble a bit, and Cincinnati's their defense is just atrocious. Whereas like Minnesota last week they played against Atlanta, where Atlanta I think is a very underrated defense, and I think that Atlanta's going to be able to make some offenses look terrible just because they can get after the quarterback very well. They stop the run. They have a good secondary. I think Atlanta just being undervalued, I think kind of threw the whole thing off because of how dominant they were versus Minnesota. But now Minnesota plays a team that is much worse than Atlanta. So at least in my opinion, I know that maybe you don't have them much worse, but like I think I have Atlanta 13 and I think of Cincinnati 28 in my power ranking. So this is such a big shift for me.
I have Atlanta 13 as well, but I have Cincinnati at 22. Now, make no mistake, I didn't downgrade Minnesota because of the quarterback. I downgraded Minnesota, so I didn't have Minnesota where you did from day one. Right. I had Minnesota in that 10 range, 11 range to begin with. I downgraded them because of the injuries. Missing Darisaw and Kelly and Jones, the three of those is a problem. You start having cluster injuries at key positions and guys on defense that are banged up. I expect Van Ginkel to be back. That's a problem. So this team just does not look right. So for now, like we considered last week before the game started, we were talking about my partners and I in Survivor, like maybe we can get away with Minnesota, as one of these, as one of our teams. Now we're not playing Minnesota in Survivor at all. But we were thinking maybe Minnesota even in a couple of weeks against Cleveland, which is an international game. As of right now, I wouldn't want to touch that game.
Oh, I love that one because they're going to have that advantage of their body clocks being set because they're going to have 2 international games in a row out there. So, and plus we know Cleveland sucks. Like, Minnesota's just better. If
$18 million Survivor on it.
Yeah. We get to fade the Browns with a team that has the body clock advantage. Like, yes, sign me up for that. Who are you taking to Survivor this week?
So we snuck through tonight with 1 out of our 5 entries with Buffalo. Mm-hmm. I did not want to burn Buffalo. I really did not want to burn Buffalo. Buffalo is a safety net so many times that using Buffalo to me was just not a great move. But I really don't want to play Seattle that much. So I'm using Seattle twice, at least right now. That's my plan. And then we're going to use Green Bay once and possibly Tampa once. So we've gotten away with, last week, Dallas with 1 entry. We got away with Arizona twice last week. So, the school of thought is, hey, do we play Seattle 3 times, maybe 4 times? Because this is really the best time to play Seattle. I don't know. It's a tough conversation to have because upsets happen all the time. They haven't happened recently, but you don't want to burn 4 entries on one team if they get unlucky. So right now the plan is to go Buffalo, which is already through, Bucks, Seattle, and Green Bay, and probably overlap on Seattle.
Okay, I'm going with Atlanta personally, but we'll get to the Seattle game and
now remember Circa is different because we need to play Thanksgiving and Christmas. Mm-hmm. So there's really a shift in teams that play on those weeks where you have to save those teams. Like there is absolutely no way one could take Kansas City or Baltimore or Detroit or anybody who really plays on those weeks, which means like Atlanta, for example, is a great pick in week 8 when they play Miami at home. They're also a great pick in week 11 when they play Carolina at home. So when you look ahead and kind of map out options, right? We're not mapping out the picks. You want to map out potential options in Survivor. And that's where Atlanta for us wasn't even a choice for this week.
Okay.
And I love Atlanta to win. And I like them a lot with the contest, as we discussed, but they weren't in consideration for us from Survivor perspective.
Yeah, I mapped out that as well. Week 8, I had the Buccaneers at the Saints, and then week 11, I had the Redskins at the Dolphins. So that's kind of where I differed there. But I mean, if you have 5 entries, you got to do 5 map outs. So I
get that. 3 to 4. Like week 8 is New England at home against Cleveland, possibly.
Yeah, that's a good one as well.
Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, let's get to the next game. We have Rams at the Eagles. I don't know how this is a 1:00 game. It's kind of bizarre. What'd you say?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like this is like the game of the week. It's 1:00. Like I don't understand. Like the what is the main 4:25 game? Cowboys Bears that they're going to broadcast to everyone. Like I don't understand their thinking here. I mean, this is the game that the Eagles had in the playoffs, so they almost lost.
You don't like Seahawks?
Um, well, I mean that's gonna be a great game and everything, but that doesn't quite have the flair of this one. uh,
So
no, I
there are 9 1 o'clock games again. What a
yeah, I
joke.
mean
It's
they
such a joke with this NFL, what they do. You're right. This game should 100% be moved to 4 o'clock. They can't because it's a Fox game and they have Dallas on at 4 o'clock on Fox.
right, yeah.
That's
I
the
mean
answer.
Dallas, Chicago, two big markets. Everyone,
So what?
Cowboys, majority fans.
Everybody has multiple screens, or if they don't, they're watching Red Zone anyway.
Right.
Is anybody really watching Dallas Chicago and not watching Rams Philly?
I
That's
don't get
not
it.
a Dallas or Chicago fan.
You could just flip the games. You can have Dallas Chicago as the main 1 o'clock game if you want, and then put the Rams Eagles at 4:25, and then the Rams didn't have to worry about the West Coast, the East Coast 1 o'clock thing, which not really a thing, but still, I mean, I think
No,
super
I don't
about
think that's a thing. I just think from your
it.
perspective, you're playing 9 games and then 3 awful games. That's not cool. All right. Well, anyway, 9 games is terrible because I only have 7 TVs on the wall. 9 really ruins my setup.
Yeah, that's it's
I gotta take out 2 iPads. Brutal.
that is yeah that's funny. So anyway, by the way, real quick on like how it's funny that you sometimes hear like, oh, West Coast team playing East Coast 1 o'clock toss spot. Actually, it's actually extremely favorable to bet those teams, and I don't know if it's because the sportsbooks haven't adjusted the numbers, or if it's because those coaches really gear up those games because they deem it to be a challenge. But in the past 5 years, West Coast team playing at East Coast, they're 56 and 25, 56 and 30 against the spread. That's insane.
By the way, not to cut you off, did the Rams stay out east this week?
I don't know.
They did not. They did not. I'm just looking it up.
They
They
didn't
flew
know.
home.
Okay. Well, Sean McVay knows what he's doing. He's what 10 and 5 against the spread in these games. So I don't like, if anything, I think that favors the Rams because like why are they plus 3.5? I know the Eagles are the defending champions. They're 2-0, but they haven't looked quite right. They nearly lost to Dallas week 1. I know Jalen Carter didn't play, but still, like they couldn't score in the second half after that thunderstorm. And then week 2 against the Chiefs, like if Travis Kelce doesn't drop the ball at the goal line, they're down in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, who are they to be favored by 3.5? I guess this is just based on price memory with Philadelphia being so dominant last year. But people forget, like, early in the year, in the first 6 weeks, they were not a good team. Oh, no, sorry, they're not a great team. They were 2-2 to start. They got blown out at Tampa. They lost to Atlanta, and they almost lost to the Saints, and they almost lost to the Browns in week 6. So this is a team that I think will get better as the year progresses. AJ Brown doesn't seem healthy right now, and I don't think their depth is quite there yet. And however, Howie Roseman's going to make a trade at some point. But the Rams look pretty good. They have a devastating pass rush. I think that could give Jalen Hurts some problems. And, their offense is looking better. Devontae Adams showed a connection with Stafford last week. And obviously the Kua still, Higbee came on last week. Higbee had a good game against the Eagles in the playoffs. I like the plus 3.5. I think this is probably going to be a field goal game either way. So that means we win both ways with the plus 3.5. I'm not I wasn't initially crazy about this game, but the more I think about it, the more I like the Rams. Plus, the playoff revenge. I'm not a big revenge guy, but still, that's something else that you can factor in. So, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, you could mark this game down for us as well because I totally agree. And now it's funny you say that you initially didn't like it when you looked at it because I didn't either. I had this game marked at 4.5, so I'm like, 3.5, not a lot of value, but I kind of believe it's going to be a 3-point game. Then I'm looking at my power ratings, and I have a little bit of a kind of a hypothesis about the Eagles. So tell me what you think. So they win the Super Bowl, right? Okay. So now they're not in like this FU mode, right? There's no reason for them to come out in a regular season and just blow the doors off of every single team they play. And because they're so good at ball control, right, and maintaining clock and running clock with the run game, I feel like they're very similar to what the Chiefs were last year. They're going to win a lot of games by 3 or by 1 score because they're going to be able to score at the end of the game when they need to score, and they're going to be able to run out the clock when they have the lead. As opposed to certain teams like for example, Baltimore, that's very explosive. Like they'll break those long runs, and obviously Saquon could break the long runs as well. but Lamar is throwing a little bit more downfield. Maybe A.J. Brown is hurt. We certainly have not seen Hurts throwing the ball downfield, but I don't think they care to win games by margin. Whereas last
Right.
year, they were winning every game by margin, starting like week 4 or 5. This year, I feel like they're just looking to win the game and move on. Like they don't really care regular season. They know, hey, we've been there before. We want to stay healthy. We want to get back. And they're not necessarily looking to run up the score like they were in the Super Bowl, right? And you saw that last week. They were really content with just running out the clock, playing ball control. All right, we're up by 10. Great. We'll give you the ball, let you drive down the field. Nice, slow, methodical drive. They're playing very, very boring football. But I feel like they're going to win a lot of one-score games. And people, I like what you just said. Oh, maybe they're not as good, but they're going to win a lot of these games. So my question here now, again, my power ratings has them third in the league behind Baltimore and Buffalo. But it's possible I need to downgrade them from a points perspective. But I'd like to see them play a team like a Green Bay because I still think they're better than Green Bay. They play at Green Bay on a Monday night, week 10, coming off a bye. That's a huge game to think about where they are long term. But I think for now, I still have them above Green Bay, but I think they're going to win all these games against good teams by a field goal. So I don't know that the Rams go into Philly and win. I don't think they will, but I love the hook here. So you can mark down the 3.5. I also like what I've seen from the Rams. They were kind of a lazy first half last week, really, really dominant second half. They moved the ball well. Yards per play, 7.4 to 3.9.
Yeah.
And also from a spot perspective, Philly just beat Kansas City. So this is a terrible spot for Philly off of that win. And I liked Philly last week. I had Philly in my super contest entry, and I believe they were going to win that game. They outside of the Kelsey drop, which changed the game. I think they're going to come back here and find a way to win like 23-20, something like that, 24-21, somewhere in that 3-point range. So give me the Rams with 3.5, even though my power rating say should be a little bit higher.
It's funny you have 4.5. I also have 4.5. So that's kind of like what initially threw me off. But the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think this should be closer than 4.5. And I agree. I like that. That comparison that you had to the Chiefs last year, where the Chiefs just didn't meet expectations, but they kept winning. And I think that at least in the first half of the year, I think that's the Eagles are going to do. Maybe second half of the year they get going, kind of like they did last year. And I said maybe they make a trade. You know, Howie Roseman always makes trades or something. Maybe they trade for a defensive tackle. They tried to trade for Parsons, and the Cowboys said no because it was divisional. But they know they're at least trying to acquire players. So maybe they get someone and they get better as a result of that. But I like your comparison to the Chiefs. So, all right, yeah, that's two definites and one maybe so far. Definites Atlanta and the Rams, and maybes the Colts. So, next game we have Steelers at the Patriots. Steelers are favored by 1.5. I said this to Andy last night. I'm like, I don't understand how the Steelers are favored. It doesn't necessarily mean I want to bet the Patriots because it's like I have this line as Patriots minus 1.5. So 1.5 one way to the other, 1.5 the other way is not like a huge deal. Like games can land on one, but it's not like it's not very common. Yeah, the Steelers can't block and they can't play defense, which is a kind of a problem. You know, like they're not good. They almost lost to the Jets in week 1, and we saw the Jets get absolutely curb stomped by the Bills in week 2. And then last week they lose to Seattle 31-17 at home. That was a game where Seattle made mistake after mistake in the first half. And I know that Caleb Johnson had that stupid fumble on the kick return, but like Seattle in the first half, they're just shooting themselves in the foot left and right. Like 2 missed field goals. I think they missed the 4th down. Then Darnold threw an interception or something. They made 4 mistakes, and yet they still won by 2 touchdowns. I thought that was pretty glaring with the Steelers. I downgraded them quite a bit here, and I'm not like very high on the Patriots, but I think they're not bad. They're certainly better than they were last year. So I like the Patriots a little bit. I wish we were getting like +3 or something. Then that would be a big difference maker for me. But yeah, I like New England. What do you think here?
Yeah, we're on different sides of this one, but not really a strong disagreement. I have the Steelers favored by 1. I think both of these teams are horrible. I went back and I watched that Steelers game. I was overly disappointed with their offense, with the blocking, with Rodgers in general. And I'm coming away from that game like he's not throwing the ball downfield with any sort of accuracy. He's throwing the ball into the floor. He's putting the ball in harm's way, Rodgers. there's really not much offensively. Defensively, they've been terrible. They're 29th in the league right now through 2 weeks, yards per play, giving up 6.3 yards per play. By the way, New England, number 31 in the league. Only the Bears have been worse than the Patriots. But I go back to the Patriots. I was much higher on this team coming into the season, thinking they were close to average. Now, last year they were dreadful. And with the coaching upgrade, I thought they'd be a lot better. I don't have them. I've downgraded them substantially as well. I have Pittsburgh right now at number 20, and I have New England at number 24. So I still have Pittsburgh as the slightly better team. Of all the things that we've seen with these two teams, with these units, I think Pittsburgh's defense is better than what it's shown. I'm gonna pretend that their defense is the one of all the 4 units that I've watched on the field, not including special teams. I think Pittsburgh's defense will improve. I'm very disappointed what I've seen out of Drake May. I know I've never been a Drake May fan, but he's looked awful to start the season. They can't move the ball. They can't pick up first downs. They almost lost to Miami last week. Granted, that game went back and forth, but that was not an impressive performance. To me, this game comes down to Pittsburgh's spot, and I've played on and against Pittsburgh enough over the years. Tomlin off of a win is awful. We discussed that last week. Tomlin off of a loss, usually Pittsburgh's a lot better, which is why they're a 500 team every single year. Very easy to handicap Pittsburgh. When they win a game, bet against them the next week. When they lose, bet on them the following week. I also think there's an edge here, which we didn't discuss, which is the kicker. Boswell's unbelievable, and I can't pronounce the guy's name on New England, but he's not unbelievable. So there could be a difference in this game with kicking, where Pittsburgh gets more of the field goal attempts. I could see this game being a lot of field goals, like a 22-19 type of game where both defenses are giving up yards but not finishing drives and kicking long or medium to long field goals, and Boswell therefore has the edge. To me, it comes down to the spot off of the loss and the kicking, and therefore I would lean towards Pittsburgh, but I don't like the game. I would not bet this game. I would not pick this game. I'm not going to tease this game, and that's really all I got there.
Okay. The good point about the kickers, in a close game, you obviously want the better kicker. Boswell's great. Borregales missed 2 extra points. I was so tilted. That's another thing I was tilted about, but it didn't end up mattering. What happens to Steelers' defensive line? I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, Cam Hayward is not the same as he once was. He's still playing well, but he's not like dominant. And then no one else on the defensive line is playing well. Keanu Benton's been disappointing so far. Highsmith's out. Yeah, that's it's the edge rush. I think like more defensive line. Like they can't stop the run at all. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're just getting old or something.
Maybe it's 2 weeks, right? Yeah. Maybe it's just 2 weeks. Although they got gashed by Justin Fields, so that's a problem.
And
I'm willing to make an assumption that they're better than what they've shown, and therefore. But I'm also willing to make a declaration that their offense is bad and New England's offense is bad. Very, very disappointed with both offenses. I really thought both of those offenses would be better than they've shown, and they haven't given me any reason to think that guess is wrong. Okay. So I'm gonna make an assumption that Pittsburgh's defense improves, and I like the spot and I like the special teams, but I'm not betting the game.
Okay. Well, I'm not either. So, all right. Next game, Jets at Buccaneers. This line was Buccaneers -7.5. It's down to 6.5. I'm not sure what's happening with Tampa's offensive line. Tristan Wirfs might be out again. We'll see. He's been limited twice. Even if he returns, he might not be 100% yet. We'll see. But Luke Godeke's out. They also lost Cody Mock, one of their guards. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at their depth chart, and I couldn't figure out how they start an offensive line. Like, because if Wirfs is out, it's going to be Barton and Charlie Heck. But then in the interior, it's Elijah Klein, Ben Bredesen, and then they don't have a right guard. They don't have like a right guard to play. So I like if Wirfs comes back, then Barton's going to move back to the interior, which I assume is going to happen. I think they might push Wirfs back, but he may not be ready. So that's a concern for me. They lost Kalijah Kancey to an injury, and Emeka Egbuka has not practiced yet. And Baker Mayfield showed up on the injury report with a foot-toe injury. So we don't know if he's 100%. This Tampa Bay is just walking wounded right now, and they're coming off a short week. So this just seems like very difficult for them to be competitive enough to cover the 6.5 point spread. They could win outright for sure. but to win by a touchdown or more when they've had fewer days of rest and all these injuries just seems like a tall task. Now the Jets are going to have Tyrod Taylor starting, but Taylor's a decent backup. Like he had that one game against the Bills, they almost won that Sunday Night Football game. He's won other games in over the past half decade. Um, and the Jets still can play good pass defense. They can't stop the run, but they can play great pass defense. They have a really good offensive line. With Cansey out, maybe they run the ball a little bit better than they normally would with Breece Hall. So then they have Garrett Wilson take advantage of that bad secondary. So I like the Jets here. It's not like one of my top plays, but I think they can make the card. What do you think about this game?
I don't like anybody here.
Okay.
I go back and forth because, first of all, every time I like the Jets, they're horrible. They disappoint. They're coming off of a brutal performance. I thought going into last week they'd be much better. They were not. I mean, we both liked them getting 6.5 points against Buffalo, which right away looked like a terrible pick, and they just got blown out. So they're coming off of a game where they basically had 3 points. The last 7 points coming in the end on garbage time don't really count. That game was 30-3 late in the fourth quarter. They had 54 total passing yards, or Fields at 54 total. I mean, this is just 3.3 yards per play for the game. Just not a team that you want to back right now. I have no idea what I'm getting out of Tyrod Taylor. And then Tampa Bay on a short week that basically stole the game from Houston. They didn't really steal the game from Atlanta, but you can make the argument that game was a 50-50. So they're kind of playing with fire in some of these games. I hear what you're saying about all the injuries, especially on the offensive line. And Tampa Bay plays Philly next week. So this is not a big game for them. This is one of those games where I can see them being behind and Baker pulling out some magic. This is the game where right now, my Circus Survivor partners and I have been discussing, do we really want to take this game? It's really not a good spot for Tampa with the injuries, with the Jets coming off the performance they had. And that's why we took Buffalo tonight with one entry. And if we go Seattle 3 times instead of twice, we would probably pull Tampa out of the mix. I don't really know where to go. It's hard for me to lay 6.5 points with a team that I don't think is going to give a great effort with Philly on deck and with a short week against a team that's just coming off. If Aaron Glenn with a new coaching staff there at the Jets, I think you'll get a better effort out of them, which means I take the points. But I made the line 6, so I don't really see a lot of value here. I'd probably lean towards the Jets, but I really, again, even if you gave me teaser numbers, I wouldn't want to be on this game.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right.
There's so many games where just don't like the game at all.
Well, we have 3 definites and maybes, so we need 2 more.
Yeah, I think we're going to agree on a couple of games coming up.
Okay.
I'm going to talk to you into one later.
All right, we'll see which one that is. Last of the early games, Texans at the Jaguars. The Jaguars are -1.5. I can't get behind the Jaguars after that game we saw week 2 against the Bengals where they should have won. Liam Cohen, he's like yelling at Lawrence as the game is going on. Like what is happening here? The Jaguars, they can't play defense. Their defense still sucks. And Houston's 0-2. They're going to be desperate here. I really don't like their offensive line. I don't like them as a team, but given the desperation factor, and given that Jacksonville is just not well coached, they're not well quarterbacked. They have some good things going for them, but overall, I think Houston's a little bit better. But this is like one of my least favorite games of the slate. So I don't know if you like this better at all.
Yeah, I lean towards the Texans here. The desperate factor of them being 0-2, I think, is big. I was cautious about Houston going in. I was one of the few people, told you before the season, that I thought they were in the top 10. I've moved them out of the top 10 right now to number 11. So they're still, for me, in the top half of the league. Their short yardage situation is an absolute joke. They're unable to convert. They can't pick up a yard or 2. And this is going back now last year and the year before. They're just terrible in short yardage situations. They were 2 for 9 last week on third down. They're now last in the league at 22% on third down. Once again, there was a new play caller, Slowick's out, new play caller in, more of the same. Stroud bailing them out on 3rd and 7 and unable to convert short yardage, unable to protect. I still really like their defense. And even though their defense gave up that 4th and 10 last week, not spying Baker, letting him run through the middle, picking up that play, throughout the game, for the most part, their defense was really, really solid. I think the Jags are overrated right now based on what they've done. I think they're injured right now. Brian Thomas Jr., either he's hurt or disinterested. Something there is going on. I'm not a fan of Travis Hunter. I understand he's a special talent, given that he has the ability to play both sides. I think that absolutely affects his ability to excel at either side. You're a jack of all trades. You're a master of none. So I don't think that he's a great receiver, and I don't think he's a great corner. He obviously had a huge pass interference last week, whether it was a pass interference or not, to blow the game. Lawrence continues to throw the ball radically high. He throws bad picks and bad spots. I think Houston will take advantage of that. So now I'm getting a team that's +1.5, +2, that I think should be favored by one. So there's not a huge value, but I think the desperate team now goes on the road there and wins this game. So if Houston loses this game, their season's probably over, especially given how good, maybe the Colts go to 3-0, Houston will go to 0-3. Tough hole to climb out of. Not impossible, but certainly going to be a tough road ahead. So I think Houston's going to win this game. Again, not a lot of value when you're getting 1.5 in Circa, 2 in Super Contest. I would have loved this game at 3, but I think Houston's going to win the game outright. So I would take Houston on my card. And even if they lost the game by 1, we're still okay in one of those like weird 24-23 type games.
Are you going to take them? Are you going to put them on any card?
I highlighted them as a maybe.
Okay. Fair enough. I just don't trust the offensive line. And I think that the difference here is that you have them much higher in your power rankings than I do.
Yes.
You said that you have them, what, 11?
I have them 11.
11?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I even
11th or 12th, tied with Washington right now.
Okay. I have them 18. So
okay.
that's
the below average.
Yeah, the slightly below average. Yeah, that's the difference there. So
yeah, I have Jacksonville at 19.
I think I have Jacksonville even worse. I have Jacksonville 20. So
okay.
Yeah, I lean Houston, but not in love with it. If you really wanted to talk me into Houston,
I'm not like loving to put, again, there's really only like 3 or 4 games that I really like, but
yeah,
they were just by default a team that I highlighted. Again, I don't like these +1, -1 spreads because I don't think there's value there. I generally like the teams that are like the Rams, 3.5. Give me the 3.5 team, or a team that I think is substantially better, like an Atlanta over Carolina, where I think the game is going to be a 2-score game, or a game we're going to get to soon, where I'm getting points. So I like Houston. I don't love it. I'm not fighting for it, but it's certainly a team that I would consider using.
Okay.
But then again, I used them last week. I really liked them last week at -2.5. And I thought they were a better team in Tampa, and I thought they needed the game, and of course they blew the game.
What a miserable last drive that was. So it was so disappointing. Anyway, let's go to Broncos at Chargers. Chargers are either -2.5 or -3, depending on where you look in the Circa. They are
-2.5 in Circa, 3 in Super Contest.
Yeah, -2.5 Circa. Yeah, so the Chargers are, I think they're better than the Broncos. They swept the Broncos last year. They're better coached. Sean Payton's a good coach, but they're better coached than the Broncos. And Jim Harbaugh values these divisional games a lot. Like he even said they count as like 2, and then he's like, wait, then they count as 3, and it just kept going onward. And I think the Chargers overall are just better. Like the only thing they don't do well right now is run the ball. But it doesn't matter because Justin Herbert is just on another level right now. I kind of considered him to bet him on MVP. He's +850 right now, so I think that's it's not like the best value. I was hoping for like 12-1, but if you can get that boosted, maybe do it. So Denver just lost to the Colts, but this is now week 3, so Sean Payton has that miserable week 1/week 2 record where he's 3-20-1 against the spread in weeks 1 and 2. But now it's usually when he coaches better. So I think the Chargers win this game by field goal. I'm not like crazy about this game. I like him at 2.5. I don't love it at -3. I think I'd still take him at 3. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I would still take it at 3, but good thing for us, the line's 2.5. So yeah. I think we have a good pick here. Denver kind of blew the game, obviously, with the late penalty, which may or may not have been a penalty. When I went back and watched that game, I mentioned before, there was a PI in the end zone that wasn't called on Denver. It wasn't called on Denver. Indy could have had another 4 points, but they gave up 7.1 yards per play. Now, I know I said before Indy is a better team than what we thought, but that's a big number. Over 7 yards per play throughout a game is a very, very big number. So their defense, while I think is better than that, there's certain. I think the Chargers are going to move the ball on this team, and I also like with the Chargers they're throwing the ball aggressively, especially with a lead late. So the fact that they're not running the ball well doesn't really bother me as long as the game plan and the play calling is what their strengths are, which is Herbert throwing the ball downfield. Going back to Denver, Knicks. I pointed this out last year. I pointed it out in the beginning of the season, and I'm going to point it out again. Everything this guy does is short. He was 2 for 3 on plays 20 yards downfield, 0 for 3, 10 to 19 yards downfield, 13 for 15 on short yardage, and 7 for 7 behind the line of scrimmage. The guy pads his stats by throwing the ball nowhere. So I don't think that's a recipe for success against the Chargers. I think the Chargers are the better team. Yes, they're home. Denver will have at least 50% of the crowd. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. Don't really give any points for home field advantage with the Chargers against divisional opponents. But I really like what I'm seeing out of the Chargers second week in a row with a lead, throwing the ball downfield. Khalil Mack being out bothers me a little bit, but they still have been doing a good job with pressure. Nix has more mobility than Geno, but Nix is not throwing the ball downfield and he's not stretching the defense out. So I think the Chargers win this game by at least a field goal. I like them at -3, and I definitely like them at -2.5.
Yeah, Denver, and we pointed this out all last year. Denver has not beaten a Group A or a Group B team. They beat the Chiefs in Week 18 last year, but that was not Patrick Mahomes starting that game. So they just haven't been competitive against the top teams in the league, and we can safely say the Chargers are Group A or Group B. I don't know, where would you have the Chargers?
I have the Chargers right now 8th. That's like my Group B because I have Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Packers, Lions, Chiefs, and Rams in my like top echelon, and then there's a significant drop to the Chargers.
Okay, I have them in the 5th right now. So, but you know me, I'm very down on the Lions. So and the Chiefs aren't playing well right now. So I have them ahead of those two teams right now.
I like what I'm seeing from the Chargers. I like them at -2.5. I would have made this line at least 3.
Yeah. What I make this line? I made this line. It's like -3 as well. So, yeah, getting 2.5 is nice. So it's if this were 3 in the card, I wouldn't like it too much, but 2.5 is interesting. All right, Saints at the Seahawks next. Seahawks are -7.5. If this weren't such a poor spot for Seattle, I would like them because they're playing against the Saints, who are complete garbage. Probably the worst team in the NFL. I thought maybe Miami before tonight, but I would still say Saints. But if you look at their final scores, see, they only lost by 7 or 5. They must be pretty good, or at least not bad. But, they were down double digits in the fourth quarter in both those games. They were down 26-14 against San Francisco last week. And eventually they're going to be playing against teams that don't take their foot off the gas, which, maybe Seattle can do with the running game and just run the ball down the Saints' throat with Walker and Charbonnet, although Charbonnet hasn't practiced yet this week. So it could be a big Walker game. But I mentioned the spot, and the spot is terrible because the Seahawks are not only coming off a game on the East Coast as a win as an underdog and coming back home across the country, they also play on Thursday night against Arizona, and they're a big favorite here. So they may not be focused. We've seen teams like this falter all the time. Seattle did it themselves a couple years ago. They were hosting the Giants, who were terrible, and I think they were favored by this amount of points, and they lost outright. So we've seen this from them before. Now the Saints might just be terrible enough that they would still lose by margin. Seattle's still covered, but I'm pretty hesitant about this game for Seattle. I certainly wouldn't take the Saints, but who do you like to hear?
I don't like anybody again. I don't want to lay 7 points with Seattle. You talked me into going against Saints last week and the week before in a similar point spread range 2 weeks ago in New Orleans. I think Arizona was 6.5 point favorites. I can't take the Saints on the road. Mm-hmm. So when you have Spencer Rattler, who's played a little better, especially in garbage time, right? They've been down double digits 2 games, and he's looked competent in garbage time, which is not what we said last year when he couldn't do anything in garbage time, got benched. Yeah. So can he put up points in garbage time here and backdoor this? At 7.5, I kind of like the Saints. Now at 7, I don't really know where to go. Like you said, with Seattle playing a short week against Arizona next week, coming off of a big win. They're now 1-1, coming off a big win with Arizona on deck on a Thursday night. Tough spot for me to lay points. This is my survivor pick. And anytime sometimes I get biased because when I take a team for Survivor, especially in Circus Survivor, I get a little nervous, right? It's like I start thinking, okay, how can this go wrong? Well, it's very easy how this can go wrong. His name is Sam Darnold,
Yeah.
right? So now you're laying points with Sam Darnold. I don't want to lay points with Sam Darnold. So I do believe that the run game could help them take off. I think their defense could play well. Rattler going on the road in Seattle is not an easy spot to be in, but I don't want to be laying points with Seattle here in this price range. Even though I made the line 8, so I did think originally the line should be more than a touchdown. And also Seattle's off that weird game. I mean, the ball bounced their way. They were down 7. They ended up taking a 7-point lead. They were kind of running out the clock. They were going to settle for that field goal to win by 10. They ended up breaking a touchdown run on 3rd and goal from the 19. So the score looked a little bit worse than what it should have been. They shouldn't have won that game by 14. They shouldn't have won that game by more than 7, to be honest. So it's like a weird thing, and I'm just not comfortable laying points with Seattle right now.
Yeah, we agree here. Okay, next game is Cowboys at the Bears. Cowboys are favored by 1, which is just way off of what the advanced spread was, which was Chicago -3. And, they're just basing that off of 1 week's worth of results. The Bears obviously got destroyed against the Lions. They lost 52-21, whereas Dallas had that amazing quote-unquote game against the Giants where they scored 40 points. So, of course, they would move this line by 4, right? But then if you think about it, if Chicago had the Giants at home, then they probably would have scored just as many points or they would have won, whatever. If Dallas played at Detroit, they may have lost 52-21. We saw them get destroyed against the Detroit last year. So I don't think this line move is justified. Now, I don't know if Chicago should have ever been -3, but I still think they should be favored. So I like Chicago a little bit here. I just think this line move is unjustified. But I'm not like dying to take Chicago either. These are 2 below average teams. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, no real opinion for me. I made Chicago a 0.5 point in my power ratings. I traded that in for a pick 'em. So I was like, pick your poison. I wouldn't like either side. I landed when I'm making picks for an office pool perspective on Dallas. And I have the only real reason is just the Bears defenses. Well, I guess both teams' defenses are a mess. I guess I have more confidence in Dallas's offense than I do again with Caleb Williams, who's looked awful. And I guess I have more confidence in Brandon Aubrey with kicks. So I don't like the game. I think the pick'em is the right number, is the right line. Take your pick, flip a coin. I wouldn't bet either side.
Andrew says this is a get right game for Caleb Williams against a terrible defense. Could be. Although I go back to the quote from Eitan Shander when he was on the show. And we were talking about Bryce Young, and someone said, "Oh, Bryce Young might bounce back." And he's like, "Bounce back to what?" It's like, yeah, it's like Caleb Williams is sort of the same thing. At least he can at least see over the line of scrimmage, which is a plus. But like, get right to what? Like he hasn't been right yet in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, he had a couple good games last year, but against
there is a bet. Well, we're very late on this bet. This total opened at 46. This line is now 50.5.
That's wild. Well, 51's the key number, right? 27-24.
I like the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. I think this game is going close to 60. If you're asking me to bet this game, I'm playing over.
Yeah, I like the
over.
I
think there's going to be big plays in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Both teams are going to have big plays. I don't see how somebody can have an angle to bet this. And whichever side you pick, you're going to hate yourself for the pick after the first defense gives up a 60-yard touchdown pass, or before Dak throws a pick, or Caleb throws a pick. I think there's going to be a lot of points. There might be a bunch of turnovers just on bad quarterback play. There'll be a bunch of big plays on busted coverage in the secondary. You know what the good bet is in this game? The team that's behind at halftime, because maybe there's a comeback potential in this game. So I wouldn't use this pick as a contest. No way.
Yeah, that's a good angle. Andrew says hearing some stupid NFL analysts say that to bench Caleb Williams is so stupid because he's the problem. He's giving up 52 points. These guys are so dumb. Yeah, and it's like, who are you going to go to? Tyson Bagent? I know they just extended him, but yeah, you can't bench him. Like, he hasn't been good, but why would you bench him?
The only thing to say about Caleb Williams right now is, and I heard somebody else say this. I forget who said it, but maybe Ben Johnson's kind of has to break him down before you can build him up.
Right.
Kind of break down a lot of these bad habits. But one of the things we've seen now, again, he still holds the ball for too long. And not only that, he's looking to bail out of the pocket and run in bad situations. So I don't like what I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams. I don't like Dak as a quarterback, but Dak is certainly a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. So I
Yes.
have two defenses that are horrible. Chicago is last in the league right now. Dallas number 30 in the league right now. I'll take the better offense with the better kicker, even though they're on the road.
Mm.
And that'll be my pick for the game, but not betting it.
Yeah. Dallas, by the way, another team that lost its center. Cooper BB is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, so we have a $4.99 super chat from Cam Making Eagle. Thank you so much, Cam Making Eagle. I really appreciate it. He says this is a penalty for playing a parlay of Jets and Browns last week. So thank you for the 49 penalty. How about a Rams Chargers parlay? So I'm not a fan of parlays, but
I was going to say exactly that. We both said we like the Rams and the Chargers. We don't like parlays.
Yes. If you do this, if you want to do this, if you're like, hey, I have 20, $50 to throw away just for fun. If you want to do this, make sure it's boosted. Like the FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM, they're always going to give you boosts. Whether it's 20%, 30%, sometimes they had 50% tonight for Dolphins Bills. Both FanDuel and DraftKings had 50% tonight for the Dolphins Bills. So if you play a parlay, make sure it's boosted so the odds are going to be in your favor. I'm still not a fan of parlays, but the boosts will actually give you some a good number. So just make sure you do that if you play these parlays. Any other thoughts here, Evan?
No, don't play parlays.
Okay. All right. What happened to? For some reason, I can't click out. I can't click out of this. There we go. What happened to the preseason hype on the Bears defense? Was there preseason hype on the Bears defense? I must have missed that. I don't know. I was never a fan of it. I don't know. Maybe Mina Kimes said something about the Bears defense.
I had the Bears defense graded as a C preseason. Okay.
Yeah.
I use letter grades just to kind of tier my teams. I had them as a B+ offense and a C on defense.
Yeah.
With a much upgraded offensive line, which I neglected to write down because I always look at continuity on the offensive line. There was no continuity on the offensive line since it was a brand new offensive line. So mistake by me giving them an above average offense, but I don't see where there's any hype on the defensive side.
Yeah. Maybe someone in ESPN said or something. Okay. We have Cardinals 49ers. Maybe this is the big 425 game. The 49ers are minus 2.5, 3 at DraftKings. So it seems to be trending upward here. Maybe that is some optimism that Brock Purdy will play. But I don't think that's going to happen. Brock Purdy was not available to the media today, whereas Mac Jones addressed the media. So I think that's a sign that Mac Jones is going to start again. And again, this is the third time I'm going to mention this. A good team playing a backup quarterback against a and the qualifier is against a non-elite defense. If you're playing against elite defense, then they can nullify the backup quarterback. But Arizona does not have an elite defense. I think their EPA defensively is like 15th, even though they played the Saints and the Panthers so far. The Cardinals are 2-0, but they're a paper tiger at 2-0. Look, they've had double-digit leads in the fourth quarter, but they blew them. Almost didn't cover the first one, did not cover the second one. I don't really trust this team. I don't trust Kyler Murray. And Arizona last year, I've said this in the first 2 weeks, that Arizona sits on bad teams. They have a great record against bad teams. But against Group A and Group B teams last year, they're 2-8. So I don't think they're going to win this game. I like San Francisco here a lot. They're definitely going to be in my card. And, I mean, you're the Niner fan, so tell me why I'm wrong.
You talked me into the Niners last week. I agreed with it. I think the Niners will win this game. But my problem is I made this line 2.5 with Purdy. Without Purdy, I think this line is 1. It's not that much of a downgrade because I don't think Purdy is great. And I think Mac Jones could be serviceable, despite the picture that we showed last week. I just – when the Niners are favored by under 3, I like the Niners. They should win this game. They're a better team than Arizona. A healthy Niner team last year was favored by like 6 or 7 in this spot. Now they blow some of these games because they blow leads because they punt. They punt in bad situations. I actually just remembered something about Denver. Another reason why I like the Chargers, going back to that game, is Sean Payton's one of the few coaches that when it's 4th and 2 at midfield still punts. So I don't like that when I see that out of coaches. And Shanahan, I've made no secret about my displeasures in him punting on 4th and short around midfield or kicking field goals with kickers who can't make field goals on 4th and short when they're comfortably in scoring territory. So I like the Niners to win. I think they're the better team. I don't like what I've seen out of Arizona. This is another big game for the Niners, being a home divisional game. So I lean to the Niners to win the game. I don't love it, but I'm not opposed to putting it in the card if it is indeed under 3, which in the contest it is. And if this line gets towards 3, I've told you from the beginning, I like good lines. Sometimes that matters. If this line goes to 3 as a market price and we're getting line value with the 2.5, I'm happy to put it into the contest. Again, my fear is, of course, the Shanahan approach, where these games are close. He blows games late because he doesn't know how to hold on to leads. But I like the Niners defense. I like what I've seen out of their defense. And as long as McCaffrey is healthy and Trent Williams is healthy, they're the better team. So I like the Niners to win. I have them winning. I wrote down 26-20. So I have them winning by about a touchdown. I think it's a fair assessment. I wouldn't take this game at 3.5, but anything under 3, I probably would.
Well, this is 2.5 on the card. My line for this is 4.5. So I really like the Niners here. Would you want to put this on our card?
It could certainly be a maybe. I'm not opposed to it, and
Okay.
I think I've trusted your assessment of the Arizona games and the Niners last week. So I think we can continue riding that wave. So I'm absolutely not opposed to it. I like going against the Niners when they're favored by 3.5, 4.5,
Yeah.
sometimes too much, because they do give away those leads and then find themselves up 10 and winning by 3. But what I even last week, like I was nervous. 26-14, I'm good. 26-21, it's like, oh my God, are you serious? We know what they're going to do. They're going to go 3 and out. They're going to have run, punt, give the ball back, and they're going to have to make a play on defense. And that's exactly what happened. But that's what's going to happen this week too. They'll be up 26-20. Arizona will get the ball back, and Nick Bosa will have another game-ending strip sack or sack for a loss that will win the game. So, and that's the way they're going to have to win these games. I think McCaffrey's going to be just fine. They'll be able to score. The question is, can they hold those leads when they punt on 4th and 2 from midfield with 6 minutes to go in the game?
Yeah. I mentioned that the Cardinals were 2-8 last year against Group A and Group B teams. One of those wins was against San Francisco in it was 24-23. That was a crazy, bizarre game. I think the Niners missed some field goals in the game, which that's just like every game for them. But McCaffrey didn't play that week, so or he didn't play most weeks. But it was one of the many games he didn't play, and he's going to be in this. He's going to be on the field. So the Niners healthier than they were last year. And Arizona still like the mediocre team that just can't beat good teams and sits on bad teams. So I feel like an easy team to handicap at this point. So
yeah, I worry about the Niners secondary in this game going up against Trey McBride and Harrison, but I don't worry about Kyler running around because Fred Warner's out there and Bosa's out there. So I think they'll be okay defensively. I just worry about the turnovers, obviously, with Mac Jones. But if he's throwing dump offs to McCaffrey, then it's fine.
Yeah.
Not hard to throw dump offs to McCaffrey and let McCaffrey go to work. The problem with Shanahan and the Niners is Shanahan punts. So they don't run up the score. They don't beat you by margin. But you don't have to win by margin. You just have to win the game. So 2.5, we're okay.
Yeah, for sure. Dizon says should have provided more clarity. I'm referring to when the Bears destroyed Buffalo in the preseason and all the clout thereafter that game. Well, I don't think Josh Allen did not play in that game, right? Because this is the first preseason in which Allen did not play a single game. So, their defense, I guess defense was great in that game, but like against Trubisky, I don't know.
Watch preseason and make a determination.
Yeah, remember, go ahead.
I don't even watch preseason, so I don't even know what he's talking about. I have no idea who won that game. I have no idea what happened in that game. I could care less. It means obviously there's no game plan. You're playing third stringers. You can't take. I was at the gym before week 1, and I heard some Giant fans here in New York talking about, the Giants are great in the preseason every year, and they stink in the regular season. I'm thinking to myself, do you really make a determination about your team based on how they look in the preseason? That's crazy.
It happens. The Eagles that one year with Chip Kelly, where they played the Packers in the preseason, they ran up the score and they looked amazing. And I remember thinking, "Oh man, I can't wait to fade this team week 1 because there's so much hype with that team coming out of that preseason game, and they were awful that year." So, yeah, it's yeah, don't read too much in the preseason. There's no game planning, as you said.
No,
they're just not.
no.
All right, so what'd you say?
There's nothing to look at in preseason ever.
No. I think like scheming wise, I think what was helpful in the past, and it's not anymore because starters don't play for the most part. I remember in 2000. This is a long time ago, 2007, when the Patriots got Randy Moss and Wes Welker. I remember watching the Patriots preseason games, and Tom Brady's like first read on every play was Wes Welker. And so I remember for fantasy purposes, I'm like, let me get Wes Welker on all my teams and recommend them as a sleeper in fantasy. And lo and behold, Welker became amazing. So I think that you can learn some stuff fantasy wise, but as far as, determining which teams are good or not in the preseason, you're not going to learn anything.
Yeah. To your point, I remember when Peyton Manning moved to Denver, there was a preseason game where he was just targeting Emmanuel Sanders over and over. I'm like, Emmanuel Sanders is going to be a real fantasy player this year. And sure enough, he was.
Yeah.
But that's when, like you said, Peyton Manning was playing significant snaps in the preseason. So he's building chemistry with a receiver, like a new receiver on a new team, thinking, okay, well, that makes sense. That means he probably likes this guy.
Yeah.
But nowadays, there's nothing to look at.
Yeah. Media hype, no personal opinion. Well, we said it was probably ESPN, so we're right about that. Yeah. Okay. So we have 2 more games to go, and in the back of my mind, first of all, let me introduce this: Chiefs -6 or 6.5 at the Giants. There's a 5.5 -120 at FanDuel. So in the back of my mind, you said earlier that you were going to try to talk me into a team that was an underdog, and I'm thinking ahead. I'm like, which one is it? And I'm like, it has to be Giants.
Giants or Lions? Well, you know how much I like the Lions.
I think it has to be the Giants, right? Because like the Chiefs never win by margin, and everyone's like, oh, they're 0-2, and I don't know who it was on TV. It might have been, I want to say it's like Rich Eisen or something. I can't remember who it was, but they were like, maybe I think it was Scott Van Pelt, because I'm thinking like ball guy on the TV. I think that he was like, Chiefs are 0-2. Oh, they'll take care of the Giants, and I think that's like what everyone's thinking right now. And obviously, the low hanging fruit in this game, as far as handicapping it, is like, the Chiefs are 0-2. They're desperate. They have to win this game. They're going to cover, and maybe they will, but like I'm not like fully convinced that they will, because they haven't won by margin in recent years, ever since they lost Tyreek Hill, and they just haven't been explosive offensively. They can't block, which is a big issue against this Giants defensive front. Now on the other side, I don't want to really play Russell Wilson. But look, if you're going to give me a great argument on why we should take the Giants because the Chiefs never cover these spreads, I'm down for it. But am I right? Is this the game?
100%. And the Chiefs never cover these games.
Yes.
And the Chiefs are going to win this game. They're going to find a way to win this game by 3 or 4 points, because they'll be down by 3 and they'll give you a touchdown late, or they'll be up by 3 and they'll sit on the ball. So if they go back to their old ways of being able to control the game, do what they need to do to win, great. If they're up by 10, there's a very good chance they give up that backdoor touchdown. So did you your service may have just gone out. Anyway, I'm going to keep talking. Hopefully my service didn't go out. The Giants will be in this game. If they are behind late, they'll throw the ball downfield. Yeah. He may throw a pick like he did last week in overtime, but I see no reason why the Giants at home won't throw the ball downfield and look to make some plays. And Kansas City, if they have that lead, are they really now starting to jump on your throat and run up the score and throw the ball downfield? I don't see it. Now, I do worry about Andrew Thomas' health. I think obviously he makes a big deal towards that offensive line. But we know Kansas City's offensive line is miserable. Mahomes is running for his life. So I have this game 27-23. I would take the Giants anything more than four, 3.5, 4 points is what I would like. Anything more than 4.5, it's an automatic. I don't like betting on Russell Wilson. He's disappointed me in the past, as we all know. But I think Giants are a live dog to win this game. If you're a Chiefs fan, you're going to be really nervous watching this game when the Chiefs are down by 3 or 4 points in the fourth quarter, thinking like, oh my God, we're going to go to 0-3 right now. We're going to lose to the Giants. How are we losing to the Giants? Because the Giants have a defensive line that's going to get after Mahomes. And Mahomes last week, when he was pressured, he was 12 for 17 when clean and 4 for 12 under pressure. Here's your betting angle in this game. If the Chiefs are behind, the best bet of the entire week is Mahomes rushing yards over.
Yes. Yes. Yep.
Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, because he is not going to let them lose this game. If he has to run for 30 yards, 40 yards on a final drive, he'll take off running. If he's under pressure, he's going to take off running. Now, you can't bet this pregame because if they're ahead, he's not going anywhere. And he's taking a knee at the end of the game as well. So you can't take that bet until the second half. But if you see the Giants ahead late in the game and they have no run game, the Kansas City has no run game, okay? Mahomes over rushing yards, fire on that over and over and over again. And ladder it like we did in the Super Bowl, and ladder it like you do in the playoffs. You take if he has 19 yards and his over-under is 24 and a half, you're going to play over 24 and a half. You're going to play over 30 plus. You're going to play over 40 plus, right? These are the types of bets we like to make. So, and live, in-game. This is how you take advantage. This is how you get kicked off of FanDuel. So in-game, you just hammer it home until they start limiting you on what you can do. But I love the Giants in this spot. I love it. Now, their defense is putrid. I don't see why Kansas City can't put up 27 points. But I think the Giants are going to score. The Giants are going to throw a ball downfield. They'll get a PI here and there. Neighbors will make a play. Scatabo is a nice running back. I loved him in college. And listen, as much as I don't like Russell Wilson, he'll make that big mistake, but he's still going to chuck the ball deep. And the refs are going to throw penalties. And it's Sunday Night Football, and weird things are going to happen. So I don't see this game being a 31-13 blowout. I haven't seen the Chiefs win 31-13 in a blowout since last year when they played Houston in the playoffs or right before the playoffs. This game is going to be maddeningly close, and I would not be shocked if the Giants won, but I will be very surprised if the Chiefs won by a large margin. So love the Giants +6. I made the line 5. I was hoping for 4.5 or better. I would not touch Kansas City in Survivor. I hope people take Kansas City in Survivor because it burns them from a Christmas game. And I really think the Giants are alive in this game.
Yeah, I get kicked off for like 10 seconds or something, but I caught the gist of everything you were saying, and I definitely agree. And we had the same posted or projected number for this. I made this line Chiefs -5 as well. Yeah, I already wrote down Giants +6 as a definite on our card. I think that you didn't really have to convince me too much because I knew where you were going with this one. Yeah, the Chiefs don't win by margin. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They played the Raiders last year, who were terrible. They almost lost. They played the Panthers last year, who were terrible. They almost lost. Like the Giants are terrible, but they can do some things like rush the passer, which is really going to bother that Kansas City offensive line. And you're right, like they couldn't stop the aerial attack of the Chargers. Now, I don't trust Russell Wilson as much, but he will have those moon balls, as you said, the long interference flags. So
just trust the refs.
Yep, yeah, but the Chiefs just have to win. So if they fall behind, I think a good play would be Chiefs money line. They win by 3 points and they walk away happy, and people who bet the Chiefs -6 are like, oh, how'd they not cover?
Right.
Whereas like the guy on TV, I don't want to put the words into Scott Van Pelt's mouth, but I think it was him, and he's like, "Oh, the Chiefs are just going to take care of his business here," and I think that's what everyone's thinking. Yeah, so I'm on board with the Giants here. So you don't have to talk me into so much more. Scatman taking over Tracy, or was that due to the injury? Well, Tracy was returning kickoffs, so that's not good for him in fantasy. I think it's gonna be Scatabo going forward. It seems like. Dizon, $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Dizon. Really appreciate it. Thank you. You've been you helped us out with the super chat a couple weeks ago too. So just really appreciate it. Like you and Kim McNeagle tonight, just really helping us out here. So thank you so much. Okay, next game, the last game, Lions at the Ravens. This line was 6 and it's down to 4.5. It looks like the sharps are on the Lions. I see a lot of betting money on Detroit, whereas tickets are on favored to the Ravens, which I don't understand. I like the Ravens at 6, so I definitely like them at 4.5. I don't trust this Lions team, especially when it comes to defending mobile quarterbacks. This is something they haven't been able to do in their current tenure. So last year against the Bills, Josh Allen had one of his best games. 2 years ago, the Ravens destroyed the Lions 38-6 in Baltimore. It just feels like Baltimore just has such a big advantage with their offense against Detroit's defense, whereas like Detroit's offense in the past was stellar, and it was last week, but they are still missing those 2 linemen. They're still missing Ben Johnson. Taylor Decker is banged up. I don't know if he's going to play in this game. We only had 1 day of practice reports, so not really sure what to make of that yet. But I don't know. It just seems like the Baltimore is the better team here, and I'm a little like puzzled as to why this line is dropping so much. What are your thoughts on this game?
So I kind of am conflicted because my power rating makes the line 7, right? Because I have Baltimore as by far the best team in the league, by far. Yeah. I have them as a +10, which is an insanely high number. But I still have Detroit number 5 as a +4.5. So neutral, I have this game for 5.5, and I give the Ravens a couple of points for home field. So I think this line is a little short, but I still kind of like Detroit because I still feel that they're a better team than what they showed in week 1. And I was not ready throughout the preseason to dump them because of losing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. So I'm still willing to hold out hope that they're a contender. I know you don't agree with that, and I guess time will tell if I'm wrong, but I'm not willing yet to downgrade them too much. Now, my power rating says the line is a little short, and I do remember that game where they got absolutely blown out 2 years ago, and I remember losing money on the Lions in that game. But if they can run the ball, they can be alive in this game. So I'm hoping that this game is one of those high-scoring back-and-forth type games. Maybe Baltimore, like they did against Buffalo, will have a lead and kind of go to sleep a little bit. Maybe with a 10-point lead, they can go to sleep and there's a backdoor potential. So I'm on the Lions. I don't love it because I don't like going against the best team in football at home on Monday night. But I also don't like laying points against the team that I think could be a Super Bowl contender. Now, I took a play out of your playbook because I got a couple of those FanDuel bonus bets. Nice. And I said, you know what? You did this last year. Start building up a little bit of a bankroll on Super Bowl futures, which you can kind of hedge out of and, throughout the season, maybe buy a little stock, so to speak, in some of these teams. So I bought a little stock in the Ravens at 5-1, which is obviously not a great number. I bought a little stock in Buffalo at 5.5-1. And I bought some stock in the Lions at 17-1. So I don't love the Lions to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, we just saw them get roasted in week 1 by Green Bay, but it is a long season. I still think there's some value on Detroit. I think they'll be there towards the end or middle of the playoffs. I think they'll be in the playoffs. Even as a wild card team, I still think this team is a good team. And I think they're going to improve as the season goes along, getting used to new coordinators. I think we need to dump the idea, like last week, I think Andy, who said, well, Ben Johnson knows them, therefore I like the Bears. Well, that didn't seem to matter because they put up 50. So you could have known what they were doing. You knew it was coming, and you couldn't stop them anyway. Obviously, the Ravens are significantly better than the Bears. This is a major uptick in class. But I'm willing to continue to believe that the Lions are still a top team. And we'll see. I'm not looking to bet it. And it's a game that I'd like to go watch and enjoy. I don't think I would put this as a contest pick anyway. If I got 7, I would. But at 4.5 to 6.5, I'll take the Lions, but not trying to convince you like I did with the Giants.
Okay, yeah, because I like Baltimore anyway. I don't think they're going to make the card, but I do envision betting them. Not for a lot though. Yeah. Okay. So Dom is the real name. Probably easier to say than D-Zom. Yeah, definitely. Evan, do you think this is an over game?
Yes, very much so. I was surprised because this is in the office pools when you have to pick the total. I always tell people just pick the total, pick the Vegas total in case you have a hedge possibility. Right? Don't get cute. Right? If the over under is 53, make your pick 53. So if you're in a situation where you can hedge one way or another, you can hedge it. This line opened at 51. It's now 53. I have the score here 31 to 27, so 58. I wouldn't go a dollar less than 58 points. I would not be surprised if this game is in the 60s.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
Both teams, big play teams. Now, both teams run the football. So if you're running the football 4 or 5 yards a carry, the clock's moving. But I also see a lot of play action, big plays downfield, unlike what we saw from Buffalo tonight, which I mentioned earlier. You can get that run play action going. That will open up both sides. If each side can run the football, you're going to get some big plays downfield. And I really think this is a high scoring game. So 53 is not enough points. I don't love betting it over before the game starts. I'd rather play team total live. Like tonight, I played Miami team total over 20 and a half. I would never have played that pregame. But they had 14 points. They had 7 points midway through the second quarter. They were driving. I figured if they score here, we're in good position. And I got 20 and a half and obviously covered that. So I would look towards the team totals around halftime for the game, depending on the game situation.
Dom asking, I thought you were taking the Ravens here. No concern about Lamar owning the NFC.
There is a concern. Lamar obviously is great against the NFC, but I don't really read too much into that. I mean, Lamar is great. Lamar dominates good teams, bad teams, unless he has a stomach issue and he runs off the field. I just think it's going to be a really good football game. I think the Lions are a very good team. I'm not willing to dump them. I said that before the season. I'm going to hold to it for now. I obviously put the Packers ahead of them, given what we've seen. But I have the Lions number 5. So for now, I'm going to stick to it. And I watched them. I get it. The Bears are really bad. But the Lions were super impressive. They went back to the well. There's a lot of play action. Goff back to the line. And guys are open over the field. And there's a downgraded offensive line from last year. But continuity will build over the year. Chemistry will build. And they'll get better and better. And so I'm willing to continue to say that they're a top football team, and we'll see. If they get killed in this game, I'm going to chalk it up to Baltimore just owns them, and we'll see what happens next week. Who does Detroit play next week? Lions next week. Browns. There you go.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So
stomach issue here. You like that?
Yeah. I think the thinking that like he's so dominant against the NFC is because those teams just don't see him very often, so they're not really prepared for him, which you kind of have to be. So and as I said before, Detroit struggles against mobile quarterbacks. So I just think that Baltimore has a good edge here, and then we agree that Baltimore is the best team in the NFL. So I made this line 9, I think.
Wow, 9. Okay.
Sorry. No, that's wrong. I made this line 7.
Yeah, that was my line.
7. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. We're at least locked up on that. Before we finalize our card, I wanted to ask you, because we're not going to discuss this on air because the game is going to occur before we meet up in week 4. Any leans to Seahawks Cardinals? Line is Cardinals minus 2.5 on Thursday night.
No, the line's right. I made the line too, so I think it's right there. I think Arizona is slightly. No, I have Seattle as the better team. I have Seattle a half point better. I give Arizona 1.5 for being at home. Plus, I always give the home team an extra point on Thursday Night Football. So my line's 1.5 too. I don't really have an opinion on the game. These NFC West games are always kind of funky. So not a game I would look to bet.
Yeah, personally, I think I'm leaning towards Seattle right now because Arizona struggle with them. I think they're one of the they're definitely at least average, and so Arizona just where they sit on bad teams against good teams, or I don't know if Seattle's a good team yet, but there's a chance that Seattle, with their defense at least, could be a good team. So I think I'll take Seattle there. All right, so for our card,
yes, Seattle is one of the teams that I upgraded significantly. I had them starting at a -3, now I have them as a 0. Okay. So. Though that was one of the 3 teams, Seattle, Indy, Atlanta, that made a significant jump in my overall numbers.
Yeah. Seattle moved up a lot too. I moved them from 25 to 16, so it's quite the move there. Before we get into our card,
25 to 17.
That's funny. That's funny. Before we get to our card, you mentioned betting a little bit on Super Bowls. We had a question last night from Slew. where he asked about the Chiefs buying low on them. Right now on FanDuel, they are 14-1, which is like the highest odds you'll ever see on the Chiefs. Or maybe, but if they lose the Giants, maybe they'll be even higher. But like I haven't seen a 14-1 on the Chiefs in years, a very long time. Any thoughts on getting the quote
No,
unquote value
no,
there?
no interest in Kansas City because they're home next week to Baltimore, and I like Baltimore over Kansas City next week.
I do too. So
Yeah, so I wouldn't play Kansas City right now on the Super Bowl futures. I don't think there's real value right now. I would absolutely wait because they also play Detroit in a couple of weeks. They play Washington. They play at Buffalo. I don't
yeah,
like them in that game. I would like to see where they are coming out of the bye. They play Denver on the road. Then I'll make a much more informed opinion of Kansas City. I think right now it's pretty clear they're even if they win the division, which they certainly can, um, they're not going to be home against Buffalo or Baltimore in the playoffs. I would look towards them winning the division before I took a Super Bowl play on them. So
yeah,
I would see where they are kind of week 9, 10ish, and then maybe get a valuable play on the division. Because for the division, they really just have to beat the teams in the division in the second half of the season. So
mhm.
Denver, they play late. They play the Chargers at home late. They play Denver twice actually after the bye. They play the Raiders again. So 4 of their 6 divisional games will come after the bye. I think that's where you make a decision on do I want to play Kansas City on the division futures. I wouldn't play the Super Bowl futures at this point.
It's something that just dawned on me is that they're going to get Rashi Rice back in week 7. So I think at the very least, I would wait until week 6 is over, and then when Rice comes back, maybe look at them there, and you might get something better than 14-1 because, as you said, I also like Baltimore there. So
Yeah, Rashi Rice or not, I like Buffalo week 9.
yeah, me too. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be betting Kansas City futures, but I'm going to be betting Buffalo in that game.
Okay. Yeah, me too. All right. So, all right, for a card, let's the definites, let's lock them in. We have Falcons -5.5, Rams +3.5, Giants +6. Any change of heart there?
No,
Okay. All right. So the three maybes we have are Indianapolis -4 at Tennessee, Chargers -2.5 at home against the Broncos, and San Francisco -2.5 at home against Arizona. So we have to pick two of these three.
you don't want
Unless
to consider the Texans.
oh, okay. Oh,
That would that would be an odd man. I mean, I'm not opposed to throwing them as the odd man out, just as a
okay.
consideration.
Okay. All right. Texans in at +1.5. So we have to pick two of these four now. Um, my how I would have these ranked would be 49ers, then Colts, then Chargers, then Texans. But
Interesting.
I am I'm flexible if you really feel
I'd
strongly
probably
about it.
rank them Chargers in at the top, given the 2.5 when the
Okay.
market right now is 3, and then I'm kind of indifferent on the other one. I probably take the Texans out of that mix because I don't like the Texans over the Chargers or Colts. And the Niners, I would let you choose Niners if that's where you wanted to go ahead of either of those teams.
Hmm.
Um, for me, it would be Chargers, Colts, Niners. But I again, I said in the first game we discussed, the Colts is a bad spot and it's not great line value, but I do like the Colts to beat the Titans.
Well, my thinking here is that we take your favorite and my favorite, and we go Chargers Niners.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. I'm gonna mark that down, and of course, I mean we have
Yeah, we'll get injury reports. We'll see what's going on.
yeah, yeah, there always could be something surprising tomorrow. So definitely love digging into those injury reports. And I had the Excel sheet, which if you're a premium member of the site, you get an Excel sheet of all the injuries. Now you're like injury reports, you can get that anywhere. Well, it's like a grid of all the teams, and it lists them by position. It goes like player X out this week, they're back this week, and so it's I think it's a good tool. I use it for my handicapping. I think it's a good tool to keep track of like the team overall health and stuff like that. So that's something you get as a premium sub on the site. Chris saying Chargers, they're Group A team for me. I believe they're special this year, even with the injuries. I think you could be right. I think they're definitely on the short list of potential Super Bowl winners, and so I'm trying to get some Charger exactas. I kind of wonder what Chargers Packers is right now, because I feel like that could be a long shot, which eventually, as these teams keep winning, is a number that's going to keep falling. So I'm going to bet that at some point. But yeah, so let's see. Chargers to beat the Packers is 65-1. And so I assume Packers to beat the Chargers is probably like 60-1 or something. I don't know. LA Chargers. Let's see. 55-1. Okay. So not too bad. Not too bad. All right. So anything else here? We have our card right now, barring injuries, is Falcons -5.5, Rams +3.5, Giants +6, Chargers -2.5, and Niners -2.5.
I like it. I think talking it out really helped.
Yeah.
Because going in, I kind of had all these games highlighted, and I think I like them a little bit better now than I did going into the conversation.
Yeah.
So I think that's a nice look. Colts with as a maybe. And on my super contest, I also highlighted Cleveland, which you look at Cleveland, it's like, do I really want to take Cleveland as a contest pick? Do I really want to put money on Cleveland? It's like, nah, just lay off the game.
No.
And that's the beauty of this. You don't have to bet every game, right?
That's what Andy says. It's our advantage. The books have to book every game. We don't have to bet every game. So,
and I'm still looking for weekly specials. If anybody finds on FanDuel or weekly specials with a quarterback to throw for 450 yards, please tweet at Walt so we can get that in. Another thing that we're going to look at really starting around now, and we mentioned this with the Colts, is win totals and yes and no playoffs. FanDuel has a bunch of things. DraftKings, you can parlay teams not to make the playoffs, even if they're expensive. There are teams that are just not going to make the playoffs. I've been doing this now for the last few weeks. Every week, I'll just keep taking more and more stock on parlays of Cleveland, Carolina, Tennessee, Dallas. The Jets are in the mix. Teams that are not going to make the playoffs. And you can just start making these random parlays that are even money, even like minus 120 or 130. Now it's getting really, really expensive. Throw Miami in that mix. The Giants are not making the playoffs, even if they beat Kansas City. The Saints are not making the playoffs. You're at minus 188 already. Yeah. And you haven't even thrown in the Bears, because the Bears are not making the playoffs. The Jets are not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Look at that. Oh, you're even money right there. It's beautiful. So, things like that. You just have a couple $100 lying around. Throw it on that, then maybe do the same thing. Add Dallas into the mix. If you scroll down, you could throw Cincinnati into the mix. Where's Cincinnati?
Minus 170.
Oh, look at that. You're at 4-1, 3.5 to 1 already. That's fantastic.
Yeah, Cincinnati's not. What is minus 170? They're not making the playoffs.
What is this nonsense? This is crazy. So this is there's money to be made here on FanDuel when they allow you to do things like this. And this is why I got kicked off last year. So I'm looking for these now. And also, when you go to the win totals, I was looking Miami unders. I thought about taking it again this week before this Buffalo game, but because I had so much money on Buffalo to win tonight and a contest pick, I'm like, you know what? Let me just lay off more futures on Miami unders.
Yeah.
But Miami is going to win like 6 games, maybe.
Yeah.
So I look for these throughout the season where someone said before, like, oh, Arizona's a dead over team. Great. If that's what you believe, go to Arizona and go play over 8.5, right? You could still play these. It's not about a conversation. Go bet it. I happen not to be betting Arizona over 8.5. I think they're a 9-win team. They're 2-0. But to me, there's no reason to bet them over now when I think they might lose this week. And you'll say, well, what if they win? Okay, what if they win? First of all, I don't have to make the bet. If I get a bad number, I don't have to make a bet. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'd rather miss out on a loser than lose a game. Or sorry, I'd rather miss out on a winner than bet a team that ends up losing. So you don't have to bet everything, but I just gave you a bet there. It's like plus 360. You should throw $300 on that right now. Take $1,000 to the bank in a couple of months.
It's pretty good. I'm trying to think of
which of those teams is going to make the playoffs.
Right. Like how what's going to lose this for us? Is it Joe
Right.
Flacco and the Browns? Is it
No,
Bryce Young? No. Is
no,
it Tennessee? No. Is Miami? No. Giants?
no.
No. The Saints? No. Bears?
Dallas, maybe.
That like that yeah, Dallas is like the one team where like,
But you're getting plus 360, so you're getting a good bet.
yeah.
And by the way, you can hedge this down the road. Last year I had a massive bet, way too much money on the Raiders not to make the playoffs. Was that last year or was that 2 years ago? Can't even remember
Well,
anymore.
it might have been 2 years ago. Because last year they were really struggling with their two quarterbacks,
So it
Minshew
was
and
2 years
Powell.
ago. The Raider total
But,
was like 6.5 or 7.5. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. And I saw before the season it was like minus 360 not to make the playoffs.
mhm.
I walked into the Circa to buy all my contest entries, and I'm staring at the board, and I'm like, well, I guess I can use a credit card to pay for all these entries and take all this cash and just bet it on the Raiders not to make the playoffs. I'm like, yeah, let me do that. So I bet like 10 grand on the Raiders not to make the playoffs. And like at some point later in the season, I actually started getting a little nervous, but the odds were so wrong that I started playing Raiders yes to make the playoffs at 12-1, but I had no at minus 400. So I'm in business.
Yeah.
And someone's like the Raiders not making the playoffs. Like all these things that have to go right for the Raiders. It was like week 16. It's like a lot. The Raiders have to win out. Certain teams have to lose. Like I could have theoretically parlayed things. I'm like, yeah, but I have a lot of money on the Raiders. No, so let me just hedge it a little bit. Just mitigate my risk. Not even guaranteeing a profit, but just mitigating some of the risk. So
Mhm.
I ended up throwing away like $500 on the Raiders to make the playoffs at like 12-1. I
Right.
paid about 6,000 just in case, right? But yeah, I was like, and I put those winnings towards my credit card fees for the Circa entries. When you walk into Circa ready to plunk down $10,000 on contests, and the Raiders minus 400 on the no is just staring at you in the face. It's like, how the hell is this team making the playoffs? Like for them to make the playoffs, everybody ahead of them will have to get hurt. Of
Yeah.
course, what happened? Rodgers got hurt, right? That was his first year. It was 2 years ago. So Rodgers with the Jets got hurt. Burrow got hurt. I forget who else got hurt. I think Herbert got hurt early in the season. It's like everybody was getting injured. I'm like, oh my god, are you serious? The Raiders are going to win a couple of games, even with the Raiders being 500 through like 3 or 4 weeks or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it was. They were still worse odds to make the playoffs than when they opened. So I knew I had a good bet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sometimes you can use these bets here. So if you see Dallas playing well down the stretch, so go ahead and bet Dallas in a week, especially if they're catching points. That's probably the only team here. Like we both don't think Cincinnati is going to make a run with Browning.
No.
I don't think either of us think about the Bears or the Jets, given the divisions and the conferences they play in. Can Carolina turn it around? I just don't see it.
No.
Nothing's a guarantee. Don't go crazy, but you're getting plus 360. I'm going to bet this right now.
Nice. Good move the line on us. No,
I'm gonna put the bet in. I'm going to move the line.
We'll see. It'll be funny if it moves real time. But yeah, I like this. I like this quite a bit. I don't really see who beats us here. It's just
Did you put the Raiders in there? Did you lock the Raiders in that mix or no?
I don't think I did. No, I didn't.
How many teams are in there? 10?
10, yeah.
Yeah, plus 360. I see that. Yeah, I saw. Like I wouldn't include the Raiders. Like the Raiders could win a couple of games, right? The Raiders could be in the mix for that wild card, maybe. And I don't need to throw in Minnesota, or like a Pittsburgh. Like I don't think Pittsburgh's making the playoffs. But what if I had Pittsburgh? Ooh, Pittsburgh makes it 8-1.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's 801. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm. See, this is where you can wait a couple of days and maybe play the loser of the Pittsburgh New England, because not only are they now behind the 8 ball, but they're behind the other,
Right.
in the tiebreaker.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to throw in this bet at plus 360 right now. I think this is a good bet.
Okay. Well, you might be able to even get some profit boost on this too. Like I know there's
You refresh your page. See if the line moved.
Well, it's still at 360, but we'll see. Let's refresh it. It's still 360. Luckily, maybe no one's awake right now to move the line. So yeah, that's pretty good. And yeah, like I said, I think there's like a 15% playoff parlay for NFL profit boost out there on DraftKings. So I assume you could just do this on DraftKings as well. I just don't know what their odds would be
Right.
comparatively. So yeah, just shop around, see maybe this is plus 390 on DraftKings, and you can profit that way. I mean, why not just look at it now. So let's see here. Futures to where's playoffs. That's not it. Do they not have playoffs? Oh, there we go, playoffs. Okay. Playoffs there's no. So who are the teams? Do you have that in front of you? The
Cleveland,
Browns,
New Orleans, Giants, Tennessee, Carolina, Miami, Jets, Chicago, Dallas, and Cincinnati.
Giants, Saints. So I have 4 so far. They don't order this alphabetically, so I don't never know. Bears was in it, right? Yeah,
Nope.
Bears were in it.
Oh yeah, we put the Bears in.
Bears in. Yep. Raiders are not.
Nope.
Titans
Tennessee,
were.
Yep. Carolina,
Panthers, Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Where? How many teams is this? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 2 more. Cowboys were in. That's 9, and then Cincinnati.
Yep.
This is your picks cannot be parlayed.
Oh, they're smart. See, DraftKings is getting smart.
There you go. So yeah, I guess you can't use that profit boost on DraftKings, unfortunately. So yeah, get this in on FanDuel before this line moves even further. So that's pretty cool. So that is our parlay bet of the night. So
low-hanging fruits. Low-hanging fruits.
Yeah, exactly. Which I assume if a lot of people are watching this and they're going to bet it, they'll probably take it away. So definitely try to get this in soon.
Yeah, next week we won't be able to do this anymore.
I know. We'll all be banned. So,
yeah.
All right. Anything else before I head out?
That's all for tonight.
All right. Sounds good. So thanks, guys, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow around 10:30 to 11 with Tom. Going to do one final take on the picks page as Tom and I generate our Circa Millions card. So please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content for the NFL. It's all free. And thank you so much to Dom for the $2 super chat. And Cam McNeagle for $4.99 super chat. Once again, guys, really appreciate it. Just helps a lot. YouTube ads don't pay much, so it's just really helpful here. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a great night, and I will talk to you tomorrow.